Man, I still gotta fix that. What's up, everybody? What is up, folks? How you doing? Welcome in. Okay, this is just strange. This is absolutely weird. My OBS keeps saving random recordings of me for some reason. Is that one of you? Don't do that. It's strange. It just, why? Why does it keep, and it's filling up our folder full of pointless, useless recordings of me doing half of an action. Hello, everyone. How you doing? Welcome in. Good to see you. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day. We are here today. I have brought you here to talk about some, honestly, rather embarrassing stuff. As we do every year, we're going to be going back through some CitizenCons stuff, fueling the obsession, and putting ourselves back through some reciprocal pain to remember what once was, and sort of set our expectations for what's going to happen next week, but also remind ourselves of how much better CIG thank you very much. One of these events, and what just anonymous. Hello, anonymous. Thank you for 1410 dropping 10 gifted subs just out there. First off, to Hyatt Amsterdam, I gotta say hello, Hyatt Amsterdam. Good to see you in chat. Thank you for being here. Notification gang. But also, whoever Anon is out here, getting us started off on Toes Gang. Nice and early. Thank you. Thank you, PK. Thank you, Cubant. Our last Toes Gang operatives. I'm just gonna say Anon over here with 11 subs. That's not a 1. That's a 0. So yeah. I enjoy these talks. I've made a couple videos about this topic, so it's easy enough to go back and find something that's a little shorter than this long hour and a half, potentially, diatribe. But we'll also maybe pop into the game, because I do kind of want to do a sort of, if we see something in the CitizenCon that they did, that we know we can find in the game, we go back and find it in the game and see how it's changed. You know, one of those fun things. It's a chill day. I was kind of planning on going back over that Star Citizen Live again today, and then I was like, I want to be a little more interactive, but I also don't just want to play the game today. We'll have more to say about Wednesday streams soon, but usually I'll be playing on Wednesdays, just not today. Ooh, yum. That's good tea. Hello, notification gang. How you doing today? Good to see you. Why is that? You know what? That's not even, hold on a second. Why is it showing you guys Affinity? When Affinity's not open. Refresh yourself. There it is. That was weird. Oh, that's an airplane. Yeah, I don't know why it was showing you all that. Are we good on this end? Yeah, we're good there. Okay. Interesting. It's funny how my camera's not cropped on this screen for some reason. You rock! Anyways, let us continue. Oh, Alan. Yo, man. Thank you for the super chat. Asked a question, said, is the flight model being on this new focus group mean it's going to Evo, then PTU, then live or not related? The flight model being worked on is probably not that indicative of its arrival. I mean, not it being worked on, but it going into this close testing. That's likely really early stuff. I think they've got to be looking for some very, very specific kind of feedback if they're doing that. So they're probably still pretty heavily in the design kind of area where they're willing to change quite a bit. So I don't even think we would see the flight model stuff coming into the ePTU this year. I think that's a next year kind of thing. We'll probably hear more about it at the CitizenCon though. Sounds interesting what they're doing with the flight model. I don't know. I don't know about it. But I'm also not that tied to it, as y'all know. I don't really care to fly ships all that much. I prefer to just ride around in them. That's how I grew up. That's how my granddaddy did it. That's how my daddy did it. And God, that's how I'm gonna do it.
You rock.
All right, y'all. Let me say my thank yous to the good folks who came in here bright and early. Maverick, I saw you dropping emotes for one of those pyramid things. Can you guys still hear the sickness in me? It's just lingering at this point. It was basically done. But like, you can just never find a sock. You can only find one of the pair because the other one magically disappears all the time. I've got like literally 20 single socks in my room. But just like you can never find the sock, you can never seemingly get rid of the sickness. It takes its time, man. Alan, hey, thank you for another super chat, dude. Just to say sad. Yeah. Are you a big flight person? Is that like the main part of your game for you? I hate you song. Mr. Skippy. Good morning, dude. Good to see you in chat. Matt Sully. Wandering Mage, Winter, Brent. Nice of you to join us. Connor, welcome in. Paraquat, B5 Guy, Maboot 2. Aster Monkey. Uncle Gary and Ginger Prince. You're thinking of joining the org because your current org isn't super active. Your community is really great. Would love to have you, man. They're good people. The folks who are running the events and keeping the member stuff going on in the org are working week after week to put together some really good events. They're consistent. They're high quality. You know you're going to get good gameplay out of them. Honestly, hats off to those guys. And hats off to the community in general. It's a good org. It's been a fantastic time just like getting to chill with a group of people who you know are going to be pretty level-headed and interested in the same things you are. Like, everybody in there has one common interest, right? Star Citizen. But besides that, tons of topics come up. We talk about TV stuff. We talk about books. We literally have channels for those things. People posting pictures of their pets. It's just, it's a good time, you know? Good energy. That being said, there are some weirdos in there. Let me tell you. That guy in chat right there, Vastin. Keep your distance. You want to stay away from him, all right? If you're gonna join the community and you wanna go places, well, let me tell you. Hip Hop Grinch took forever for YouTube chat to pop up. Why? Why? What do you mean? Like, when you chatted, it took forever for it to come up, or it took forever for YouTube chat to pop up? Where? What's up, Alex? Good to see you. Not sure we can be trusted with all that. Well, you know, there are a couple caveats. You got to read the small text when you're joining our org. May include a Vastin. Good to see you, by the way, Hip Hop Grinch, Mr. Hyatt Amsterdam. Fola, welcome in, buddy. Welcome in, Mr. Sugar. Mr. Sugar. Sugar. I gotta say, I'm grateful to you for making your name Mr. Sugar. It allows me to say the word Mr. Sugar every day. Fox. Frisch. What's up, guys? Space Marine. Gravity Noise, welcome in. Mr. PK, Arctic Wolf. Yui. Sorry, it's just fun to say. Juke. Juke Sky Squawker. One of the most thorough names. Alright. Gotta run to work. Y'all have fun. Skippy, thank you. Thanks for coming through, man. That can be fun. That guy can be bought with cookies. Yeah, you gotta be careful in trusting half of your org with a person who can be bought with a simple, nice chocolate chip cookie. Or maybe a half melty macadamia nut. It's not a hard bargain. you could sway me that way. On a good day, ooh, macadamia nut cookie hits so good. I had one when we were on vacation. The cruise ship we were on had a little pastry bar where you could just like, it was kind of part of, there's a buffet on a cruise ship, and it was part of the buffet. Technically, it was just part of the food that you get as being on the cruise ship. So I would regularly go up and ask for a hot chocolate and a couple macadamia nuts, and let me tell you, I'm still feeling it, but it was worth it. God, that's a combo, and it's a good combo. You wouldn't think it. Maybe you would. You probably would. It is a good combo. What's up, Lucas? Looking forward to CitizenCon, are you? Yeah, I kind of am too. It feels like this is both the most important and biggest CitizenCon, but also the most not consequential and smallest CitizenCon at the same time. It's in a weird spot of being laid out at the end of probably one of the most information void years we've had. But it's also at a time when they haven't drummed it up. They've scaled it back. There hasn't been a lot of obvious stuff going on that would kind of say that this is going to be an exciting CitizenCon. So like, all signs point to it being a relatively small presentation that doesn't tell us too much that changes the big picture of things. But also at the same time, there's so much it could be. You know, there's so much. Inside Star Citizen is no longer showing us feature development. So like, there's a lot of things that we know they've been working on from the monthly reports, from just the devs talking. Planetech V5 at 75%. The flight model's going to controlled testing. Engineering is getting ready for the EPTU. So is FPS scanning and radar. Hacking has been worked on this year. Crafting and base building we know have been worked on. Nix has been worked on. Like, all these things we know have been worked on, but we don't really know what stage any of them are at. So this CitizenCon's a wild card. For sure. Fascia. For shoopy. Yeah, slight expectations. Middle of the board, whatever you call it. You could go for some hot chocolate and nuts right now. Nuts. Chocolate chip cookies are very valid bargaining chips. Yeah, they are. I'm more of a toffee kind of person, but chocolate chip cookies are pretty dang good. I'll have you know. Let's skip this SC talk and talk about cruise cookies, dude. I might have to create a whole other. We could do a little supporter exclusive stream where we just talk about cookies, huh? Maybe that's cookies and hot tub. The hot tub stream. By the way, we are working on getting our supplies and things and format together for the cooking stream. So we'll actually be holding off on this week's episode today. Mrs. Tomato sends her regards. We're very sorry, but we want to make sure that we can get you a higher quality stream that doesn't have things going out and just malfunctioning constantly. So we want to make sure that our stuff can be a little bit better. So once we do that, we will be bringing it back. Preferably that would be my next week, but we'll keep you guys updated. So no cooking stream today, but thank you very much. There is a hype train over on Twitch. So, hey, that has nothing to do with anything. But thank you, Deadly Pajamas. I see you. Oh man, Twitch names are the best. Deadly Pajamas sounds like, you know how these services like Xbox Live will give you an automatic name that's just a combination of two words, and usually it sounds like garbage. Deadly Pajamas sounds like if one of those things was just really, really good at its job. That's a great name. Hats off to you, dude. Thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate you getting that hype train started. And thank you, Anonymous, for gifting out one more to Ustio. Appreciate you. Wishful thinking maybe, but you have a fresh supply of copium, so you're good. You have a feeling that because they haven't done too much fanfare and advertising about it means that it will be so information dense we will be poring over this for months. I do think it's going to be information dense. That's why I'm saying it could be really big. I think the things that we're going to see are going to be significant. But are they... It could be significant in the way that, like, we see updates on a lot of stuff. But the level of what that update is it matters. If they were going to condense a CitizenCon from 6 hours to 2, I would say the number one thing they should do is cut out all the concept art. That would be the biggest thing to do. Everything else, everything that is not concept art, keep it in, distill it down to that 2 hours, and we're good. And I'm hoping that's what they've done here. I'm hoping we don't see any concept art during this, and it's all work in progress kind of stuff, especially running in engine kind of stuff. Like, oh, we're going to be playing this in the next 6 months kind of stuff. If they've gotten Vulkan figured out, maybe that's looking more likely. Yeah, monthly report today. I don't think it's going to come out before I'm offline, though. So I'll probably have to wait until Friday to cover that. You don't expect anything of CitizenCon aside from any sort of news, which is good enough for you. You're not hoping for a ship? Chances they announce SC feature complete? 0. Negative 100% chance. Does that even count? I don't think you can have a negative percentage. Thoughts on nougat? Thank you for asking the important questions. Nougat's okay. Nougat's all right. If I'm gonna put something that sticky in my teeth, though, I might as well be toffee. Sorry. I'm a big toffee slut. Thank you very much. No cap, welcome to the sub club, dude. You get access to exclusive videos, and my good friends, we just released a new exclusive video just yesterday covering... Oh, you know what? Actually, wait for it. Hold on. I just got the thumbnail for that video, actually. Let's see what it looks like. This is the thumbnail for the new exclusive video. I'm not going to tell you guys what the video is about. I'm just going to let the thumbnail speak for itself. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Yeah. If you've seen it, then you know. I need to catch up with chat. Should enter the Daymar Rally. GII is entering the Daymar Rally. Usually I am there to film, though. I like to try and cover the event and do a summary of it. Thank you very much. So cool. Hey man, thank you for the membership on YouTube. Triple chocolate fudge is the best. I have grown a new love for fudge lately, I'll say that much. Didn't know I liked fudge. A Vanduul ship would be great, but I'm not expecting it. If they bring one, that's a positive surprise, but I won't be disappointed if there's none. Vanduul ship's looking likely. Let's go back to that, what was that, 2019 Squadron 42 video. You just want engineering already? Yeah, dude, same. You know if the rule changes? What rule changes? Oh, the Daymar Rally rule changes. No. I actually don't. So here are the Vanduul ships. This was the first time we ever saw them redesigned. Vanduul ships look a lot different from the way they do now. You can still actually find their style in some of the some of the older Vanduul ships that are still in game. I think the Scythe and the Glaive, I think, are both still the old style. This is the new style, though, made to look a lot more organic. They actually did a whole around the verse about why they made these changes. Yikes. I think this is easier to render, to be honest. My browser just froze. There we go. So here's the Scythe. Pretty sure this is it in the new design. This is the Stinger, I believe. And we see this in the Squadron 42 demo as well. But this is like the only way that I've ever seen this ship. So we might see this. And yeah, there's a video where they talk about this redesign of their style. Let's see if we can find it. I think it was this one. Was it this one? Was it this one? No. This one. Yes, it was.
A few times.
You rock. Hey, good speed.
Really
Thank you for the super chat, dude.
Really spoke to everyone on the team.
Give you a shout out when you go to the con. Will you be there?
And we decided last year to apply.
All right, so here's the old style. You can see it.
The Vanduul ships are really material driven. Over the time we've been working on this game, the Vanduul race and Vanduul ships.
You can see it looks like a way more mechanical, like scattered.
Art style changed a few times. We believe we found some.
Yeah, so this was the blade
ships.
now.
Art style changed.
This feels like it's pretty close to the current Vanduul style, but even a little bit different now. I have always liked the way that this looked. Very Cylon. Can't wait to see what it looks like remade.
Times. We believe we found something really good and interesting that really spoke to everyone on the team, with the Kingship interior rework, and we decided last year.
Also, like, look at the way this Vanduul ship looks different. This is the Kingship, right? This scene, if you compare that scene to what we saw at Squadron 42 last year, the music probably helps, you know, all that audio design. But holy crap, that's quite the upgrade over, I guess 6 years is quite a while. You should be doing some graphical upgrades in that time. Where the heck's the video?
What are they waiting for?
Now we gotta watch the entire video. I just sit here and like, okay, so that was the Kingship. Dude. The music definitely helps make a difference, but like the overall vibe is very contrasty. Like the lighting is way better. Obviously this is I think this is a trailer. This isn't even like a pre-production kind of thing. This is the trailer they put out. But yeah, it was it's gotten better.
With the Kingship interior rework, and we decided last year
to
ship
itself
apply
might not be that different.
style and those visuals to the rest of the Vanduul fleet.
By creating them Vanduul material.
Oh shoot! I just realized now we know this
fleet.
scene. This scene was kind of just a shot before, but now I recognize it from the gameplay.
By creating the Vanduul material library, we started looking into types of surface and large-scale pen architectures. We often create a test room to bring all in the materials and look at them in certain light conditions, and we put it on simple geometry, like spheres and cylinders, to have
Looks very
the
Geiger.
parallax occlusion mapping visible and see how it deforms on a material. And this is very
It's like
helpful
Valis
way
was saying, it's a
to look at the
biomechanical.
materials before we apply it on the ships.
So if you think about any creepy crawlies, any deep sea creatures, any kinda slimy horror-esque stuff, that's kinda what we're going for in our references, and that's what kinda all started with, again, Frank's kingship interior. He used that a lot, and it just all started from there.
And then we got the new designs.
Looking at the Blade, Blade is a light fighter of the Vandal fleet. So obviously making it look sleek and nimble and lightly armored was the big objective on this ship. The main difference really between the Squadron Blade and the Blade you know is the cockpit area. Some of you might know that the Vandal, the way they sit in a cockpit is sort of like we sit on the bikes. This is kinda where this bird of prey look of the ship comes into play, which
Now I need to see an animation of a Vandal riding like one of those tall bicycles, you know, the one with the I can't spell today. One of these. I want to see a Vandal riding a penny farthing. That's the final boss in Squadron 42.
naturally, if you're looking mostly down and forward, the way you want to approach your prey is from above. So that's why the ship has the most armor on the areas where, on the top of the ship where pilot doesn't look, and it's slightly armored at the bottom where he's kind of heading and he doesn't have to worry about.
Dude, this thing looks amazing. Wait, this is like the nicest look of a Vandal ship I think I've seen. Is this the Blade?
Where, on the top of the ship where pilot doesn't look.
So this is the ship you can get in the game right now, but it still has the old new look. This is the new look for the Blade, which currently looks like, don't think they have it here, but it's the one you can currently have in the PU.
And it's slightly armored at the bottom where he's kind of
Dude, it looks so good. This part right here, the like mid body on this looks really nice.
And he doesn't have to worry about. This is probably what defined the art style of all the Vandal ships that if you look closely you will see. It's this beetle situation. Nice hard shell at the top, soft, busy high frequency areas on the bottom, and the cockpit that
All right, so new versus
top you will see. It's this
old. So yeah, it still has, it's a lot more like reaching inward, this older style. But it actually still has that kind of the hips and the mid body
beetle
here.
situation. Nice hard shell at the top, soft, busy high
ends up being straighter because the arms are so much wider out. Yeah, I
frequency
like
areas
this.
on the bottom, and the cockpit that looks not like a human technology at all. So if it comes to Vandal weapons, the Vandal create their weapons sort of like the rest of their technology, which is they scavenge what they can from battlefields and from other races, however else they can find the components they need. One of the issues on the old Scythe was that the weapons were part of the ship. This is something we wanted to definitely resolve on the new one. Visual aspects of the ship is we did like asymmetry a lot. That definitely has to stay.
That's a pretty drastic change. From the old to the new. It looks like a different alien species almost.
Visual aspects of the ship is we did like asymmetry a lot. That definitely has to stay. It's fairly iconic, but we wanted to make sure the ship looks much more balanced than it was before. And we also wanted to give it those kind of medium fighter characteristics, which is it has armor plating, looks a little bit slower than the faster nimble ships, but it's definitely looks like it can do better maneuvers than a heavier ship.
Bro, dude. This thing looks... I don't know how to describe it. Menacing, honestly. I really hope that the Vanduul, when we're fighting them, feel more powerful than they looked in the demo. I guess you could always ratchet up the difficulty. But there was just a little bit of a feeling of fear that I wasn't quite getting watching the gameplay demo as they fought the Vanduul. And I'm hoping that's some of that last bit of polish they're putting on them.
If it comes to Glaive, we wanted to use this opportunity to give it a unique look, so it doesn't look like a scythe with extra wing on the other side. Also, we wanted to make it look special, so it looks similar to other ships, but in its own right, fairly unique.
The cockpit's crazy looking, man.
We like the bird of kind of prey, aggressive silhouette and look.
This is the Glaive? The dang, yeah. So in the old model here, these wings used to like fold down.
Like a scythe with extra wing.
Now they're just stuck like that.
On the other side. Similar to other ships, but in its own right, fairly unique. We like the bird of kind of prey, aggressive silhouette and look. We kind of wanted to emphasize on that a little bit more, which also suited the art style of Vanduul, especially when looking at the other ships. The smaller Vanduul ships definitely have this bird of prey kind of look to them. This is a bit of a peek into what we've created for Vanduul, for Squadron 42, which was a very exciting task for me, and working with Frank on developing this, and with Nate, our art director.
There's the Stinger. No, that's the Scythe. What? That's the Scythe?
And working with Frank on developing this, and
I guess this arm is, maybe it's just the angle that makes the arms look the same length, but that does not look
with Nate,
like the
our art
Scythe.
director.
Okay.
That was
I'll take it.
incredibly rewarding, and I hope you like what
Yes, they
we
didn't
came
talk
up
about
with,
the Stinger here.
and see you in the verse.
But yeah, this is
The
what
ships are the-
this is what Inside Star Citizen used to be, and honestly, this is even short. Inside Star Citizen came from around the verse, which used to be, to put it into kind of funny metrics. Then the CitizenCon Direct we're about to get is about two of the old Around the Verse episodes. They were like 40 minutes long, 45 minutes long. Okay. Don't know how we got distracted with the Vanduul so thoroughly. But the plan today was to go and look at some of the old CitizenCon stuff. And possibly connect it to what happened in previous years. I kind of want to go backwards and start from some of the more recent stuff that I feel like we haven't seen that maybe we could see in this upcoming CitizenCon. CitizenCon Direct. Your fault but not Star. Oh, that's right. Yui got us onto the Vanduul hype. Because you're hoping to see one at CitizenCon. I do remember this now. Alright, Starware. Sorry, that's a little bit loud. Starware has been such a long time thing. For those of you who've been around for a while, you probably remember back when there was talk that Chris Roberts, they asked, what is Chris working on? I'm pretty sure. Let's see. I think I might be able to find it. Oops. Let's see if we can. Chris and Sandy checking in. Do a quick search. Working on. What are you working on? We're also working on. Yeah, guys are working on. I've been working on. Here we go. Here we go. Check this out. This is July 2021.
In memory all the time, so the global persistence will also help a lot with that. So there it is. That's a very short answer of what I'm looking forward to.
Very short. And you code a lot at night. What are you coding at
Chris,
the moment?
what are you working on?
Well, I'm finishing off something that I started, I don't know, last year or something. Mainly, I don't have that much time to really do all the coding, but I'm trying to finish up the what we call physical skins. So all our characters in the game, the physics that you determine whether you collide is defined. They're on the skeleton. So the skeleton has physical joint for like the arm and the hand and the head and the legs, but it's the same skeleton and the same sort of physics geometry for every actor in the game, whether you've got heavy bulky armor on or you're just wearing thin clothes. And actually most games are like this. In fact, a lot of games just have a symbol capsule that defines a character. But all our characters, when you see a helmet come on, or they put the armor on, or they put a jacket or shirt on, that's what's called the skin, which is just geometry that gets mapped to the joints of the skeleton, and then as the joints move around, the geometry deforms with it. The change is to enable the skins to have physics information embedded with them. So when you bring in the armor torso piece of a heavy armor, it actually brings in physics geometry that will define that basically represents its shape. So as you put different things on, your physics shape and profile can change, and that's really important because
This guy with his hands, man, when he's talking.
on your physics shape and profile can change, and that's really important because that means for, first of all, better collision and hit detection. You could have a case right now where you have a big bulky helmet on, but the physics geometry is just the head size, and so a bullet could go look like it's hitting the helmet, but it doesn't actually hit the physics geometry. Well, we can change that now so the geometry is the same size as the helmet, and also it makes a big difference for things like physical interactions, like with cloth. So if I walk through sort of hanging dangly plastic, if I've got my proper shape, then it will move out of the way where the visual render meshes, and the same for if I have a cloak on, it will now drape over me properly, because right now if we put a cloak on the back of a character with a normal skeleton and they had say a heavy armor on, the cloak would look like it's going through part of the heavy armor because the actual base
Keep that in mind.
skeleton physics geometry is smaller than the heavy skeleton. So
you're saying you're making it more specific.
Yes, it's essentially just making it more accurate. It's allowing for better simulation. It's necessary for cloth and hair simulation, so you can make sure that the hair is not going through what looks like the head, because the actual geometry for the physics geometry of the head is smaller than the actual render.
Right, I understand.
So I've been working on that for quite a while. It's been sort of something I've been doing in the background, it's almost ready to go in, and probably in not this release or the next one, but the one after that.
So I don't know really what that turned into, and as you can see from Sandy's face, neither does she. He said it's going in within a few releases of this video, which was in 2021, and maybe it did. Maybe it's like some of the underlying technology needed for that kind of thing. But if we go to CitizenCon 2023, we will find another kind of example of this same thing. Let me see. It should be in... Oh, crap. Where was it? You rock. You know that? Rig, thank you so much for the gift sub. Fola with the 10 subs. YouTube over here popping off. Let's go. Brother, thank you for that, man. Appreciate you. Mr. Fola. With 10 memberships over on YouTube, going on the Toes Gang board. Thank you. Good on you, man. Appreciate you supporting the stream. And Darth Mullen, I see you over on Twitch. Thank you for the 12 months subbed up over there. Dude, that's hefty. 12 months is a long freaking time. I appreciate you. I hope you've been enjoying the stream. I hope it's never lost its pizzazz. So somewhere in here...
Thank you very much.
Was it in here? Dude, maybe I'm thinking of 2022. No, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking 2023. But I might be... My memory's failing me, guys. Maybe it was in here. Indeed it was. Here we go.
Or the clipping that happens through a character. Maybe soft body. So as mentioned yesterday by Chris Rain, our senior lead physics programmer, we support soft body tapered capsules, which are twice as fast as our ragdoll capsules. It's also key to solving one of the most important aspects of plausible cloth simulation, and that's mitigating the tunneling or the clipping that happens through a character.
So that's the kind of stuff that he was talking about with like putting on a cloak.
So it's very, very difficult to solve with pendulums. So with all this tech in mind, we can do really complicated assets like the Duster and the one I want to show you now.
Rig gifting out a membership. I thought Rig got a membership for himself. How selfless of him. Rig's a good guy. Remember I talked about that group of weird people who keep running events? Can't get them to go away? Yeah, that's Rig. This is this guy. Now we love Rig, dude. He's a member relations, event running guru. Great guy. Thank you, man.
So here you're seeing about 5 different layers of cloth going on and self-colliding between each other.
So this is about 2 years after that video we just watched with Chris.
It's reacting to the planet wind, which is always changing. On the front, there's a big leather apron. So this one's actually a lot heavier and it moves a lot differently than the cloth on the back.
Honestly, this is a pretty good simulation. I think what makes it really freaking crazy is the idea of this running in an MMO. I mean, plenty of MMOs have simulations, but the level of graphics that they have on these things, running this kind of simulation and the whole environment of the game is a lot. That's a lot of updates to send back and forth on the replication layer, you know?
So he's walking into the wind here. And in the end, as I mentioned, it just looks a whole lot better. So with that, I want to hand you off to my friend, Andre Piers, who's going to talk about hair.
Okay. So that was Sean Tracy talking about Starcloth in 2023. Then we move forward another year. Updates back and forth to the replication layer. That doesn't make sense. No, I was saying it's a lot of data to send to the replication layer. Not necessarily back and forth, just everything that happens has to go to the replication layer. It's a lot of data. The next one, then, following that same chain of thought, takes us to last year.
With a big
Dressed to Kill.
Let's look at
Ready
some
to
of the
introduce
possibilities that Star Wars will be able to provide you.
I still think that was mocapped Chris dancing here. Sorry for the chewing.
As you all saw, the possibilities are huge. Like, have you ever wanted to put on a jacket on top of an undersuit? Yes. Yeah. How about an armor on top of a sleeveless shirt? Or even without no shirt at all? Like backpacks on clothing? Yeah. So Starware allows more customization than ever. But be careful, certain gameplay implications will still be true. You won't be able to go into the vacuum of space without a space-worthy undersuit and helmet. And in certain planets, you'll need a breathable mask.
They really got to make sure we are warned very clearly of that, because, buddy, I don't even remember when I don't have a helmet on. All right, you're trying to make sure that my freaking suit is vacuum sealed. It's going to lead to a lot of death. A lot of death of this spaceman.
Or helmet to survive. I hope you guys are excited about this as much as we are, and we've heard what you all want, and we're making a system to bring it all to you.
Okay, so that is kind of a look at really this progression of cloth progression throughout the years, from Chris kind of talking about it a little bit early in the day to it turning into Star Cloth, which really we can go back to CitizenCon 2019 and see even the beginnings of them trying to kind of show this off as a technology that they want people to get excited about. You will find that here. Many of you may remember the first time in the 2019 cloth demo.
And buy different armor and store it. Okay, so here's our rover, which we've hidden with a little tarp. And this is going to be a much more larger example of the cloth interaction system. So, all right, Glenn, let's get the tarp off and get into the rover.
Which, you know, this is still one of those things that people point out as like, hey, that still doesn't happen. And funny enough, you can actually go back even a year earlier to the previous CitizenCon, 2018, and find where they even started showing off that as one of the demos.
And this is where you really need the self-collision.
Everybody in the freaking audience is like, oh, it's cloth.
Run it again, and then it's always.
I know. I was there. I was one of those people. I was not in the audience. It's also
unconditionally stable, so it's never gonna explode and will fully recover.
So like it kind of, it's a little reminder of just how much the engine has been the one in development all this time, versus the actual game. And this is like all of this from 2018 all through all this is now kind of being presented as part of this marketable Starware thing, you know? And I feel like in most situations we would have only heard about the Starware part. We wouldn't have seen all this constant development and redevelopment and talk and all that stuff. That's what I'm here for. I enjoy watching the development. It can be frustrating, but at least we get to see how it kind of happens.
Tests we did.
This used to be the Hurston armor.
A tremendous job there.
So Hurston security.
Yeah. So. Yes. So that is one of the Hurston security guards, I think, and yeah, it's just amazing how complex this stuff is, and it still looks like impeccable. It looks similar to like an offline cloth simulation. And ultimately, with this system, what I'd like to do is like simulate as many objects as we can. Like currently, most of these more like dangling, free-hanging cloth things are simulated. But there are other things, like even if you have like trousers that aren't super tight, even if those have like a tiny amount of degree of freedom to move, then your entire animation will look more dynamic and more believable. And if we end up doing this on the entire body, I think we'll have really like amazing looking characters in the future.
So what do you guys think? Bedsheet physics? They spent 7 years working on bedsheet physics. How you feel about that? It's actually funny because I'm covering all this and I don't know if this is gonna be something at CitizenCon. I do think it would make sense. It's a important part of the whole simulation that they're running. It's an important part of the character's involvement in the game. And it's obviously important when it comes to armor. And if you look at all of the armors that they talk about in this video, from this utility armor to I think this is the racing suit here, to this flight suit, to I don't know if they've done this heavy armor yet. I don't think they have. But this armor is in there. This is the Geist armor. All of these things that they introduced in this video have made it into the game. So I do think naturally it's time for an update on this, but they haven't talked about it too much. Let me pull up my monthly reports stuff. Basically, I keep a thread where I save all of the monthly reports in memory. And it may or may not work. You know what? These freaking LLMs, they can kind of suck at this stuff. But, thank you. What I like to do is save all the monthly reports in this little thing. I used to do it in a document so I could Control F. Now I just try to save it in an LLM so I can call back to it when I need to. So we can ask, have there been any mentions of Starware over the last year? And we'll see. It should pull from all of the monthly reports this year, and we'll see if there's any work that has been done on it. It's probably working in Squadron 42, but not in the MMO. Yeah. So a couple references. And you can actually go and find those monthly reports. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna show up. Like I said, they haven't really talked too much about it. Even if it wasn't a monthly report, it's been super quiet. And that's what I was... Yeah, it's not mentioned. See, that's what I mean. It's hallucinating. You can't trust it. But even if it was mentioned, this is what I mean by, like, they don't do anything with... They haven't been giving us any information this year, so it's really hard to even know what is or is not likely to get into the presentation. But that's that. That's Starware. Starcloth. Clothware. Cloth tech. Whatever you want to call it. Maybe it'll be there, maybe it won't. Toilet paper physics. Avocado. The HUD changes the minimap from a blue rectangle viewport to a red circle viewport when your helmet is off. That's all the UI you need. Now, I think it would make sense for there to be probably a flashing warning of some sort and a sound, an audible sound. Like, I know, sure, oh no, I'm not good enough at the game, I should know better, but if we're talking about a game where there are actual warnings and some form of safety in the equipment that's being made, I think the idea of taking off or putting on your helmet when in an airlock or not would probably have some kind of a warning for people. They have all this neat tech, but you want systems to help you use their neat stuff. A closet system would be nice. Yeah, some suit lockers. That'd be solid. Our Star Fashion subreddit has some great looking gear people put together with the invisible undersuit. Yeah, the I know people who don't go in the game. Like, that's the only way they go into the game, is always with the glitched gear. People would be waiting for the Starware. Okay, let's continue on. More CitizenCon stuff. We're gonna go back to 2023 now. To this. Introduction of the idea of base building. This was, you know, I don't know if I thought that they were going to do base building necessarily by 1.0. Now that I think about it, I can't remember myself assuming there would be base building as a big part of the game up until this. No, that's not true. The Pioneer made it obvious. But I had no idea kind of what direction they were going in. And then they dropped this trailer, and it was like, oh, so this game's gonna play a lot differently than I thought. I originally just thought that bases were mainly gonna be for habitation. Has very satisfactory vibes to it, at least the music. Really like it.
All right. So
this was the introduction of talks of base building, right?
It breaks down into two really large gameplay sections: planning ahead and prepping, and then you've got the on-site where you're actually going to build. So with that, you need to figure out what your goal is. Is it to have a home with a nice view and relax? Is it to have a trading post where you want to create and sell items? Is it to get...
This is also where people thought we were getting like an Atlas platform base builder. You can see the vehicle like right here coming out of the back of the C2. And I don't know, they might have downsized from this and gone with that little push cart thing because they wanted something that everybody could fit into their ships. But this was prominent in 2023.
Other resources available and move on to the next area? Or is it to be off grid and be completely self-sufficient? So with that, with your prep and everything like that, we've got blueprints. So the recipes. Everything in the game is fabricated from a blueprint. Players acquire blueprints via reputation rewards, missions, or rare NPCs. With any blueprint, you can actually do research on it and then create different variations. With materials, ranging from the common to ultra rare, you might find them at the local shop or have to travel around the universe to collect them. Unrefined, refined, simple materials, or even complex components will all go into the fabrication. With this, then you got location, location, location. First area is high security, so you must purchase the land. The base is actually invulnerable because the planetary shield tech. A security will show up to protect it as well. You pay for the privilege, you're taxed. So at this point, you won't have the best resources available. You won't have access to the best resources available on the planet. If you don't pay your taxes, the shields will go away after a period of time, and the base will become derelict and will collapse. But this is low risk, low reward. Then you've got low security. So again, you must purchase the land. It's owned by an independent corp, gang, or faction. Again, you don't have access to all the best resources on the planet. The base is vulnerable, AI NPCs will show up and protect the base if it's attacked. The protection will escalate over time. Player can also build defenses to help mitigate this as well. And then it's medium reward, medium risk.
I'm really interested in knowing how they're going to define these areas, because I'm thinking there's the high security, right, which you'd probably get in Castra and Terra. There's the low security, which maybe is something you could pay for in a system like Nyx, I don't know. But then there's no security, which I imagine is the situation they wanted to set up with the whole planetary shield thing, where you're at war with the, 2024. They talked about like the warfare between bases to collect points and get the shields on your side every week. That's going to have to be a system-wide thing. So where does low security fit in? What system is that? That isn't going to have... Let me give you guys a refresher, because now it sounds like I'm talking about nonsense. This part.
For their settlements.
You guys remember this?
As a prototype, Seal couldn't provide total coverage over all the mining settlements, and so they created the Seal Tokens program, allowing the most industrious factions to purchase shield coverage for their work. The network consisted of multiple linked bases on the ground that then linked to several stations in orbit around each planet that then connected to the nearest relay in the shield network, which eventually linked back to the shield core, which oversaw system-wide distribution of the shield technology. Factions could then earn Seal tokens for working on any part of the network. They could then use these tokens to buy shield coverage, but with the competition amongst factions being so intense, Seal was only able to offer shielding to the hardest workers.
So basically this is setting up the idea that in this star system you have to fight over these points to get shielding for your base. So it's going to be interesting to see how that fits into this the security systems that they're talking about, which, they kind of show here that it's not just system-based, it's around planets. Higher security around planets, lower security out in deep space, but I'm hoping that they touch on that this
Then you've
year
got lawless.
some way.
So this is no protection other than what you build. There's shields, anti-air. Players can disable the shields by getting close to them and destroying them. High risk, high reward. Since there's no taxes, no protection fees, you get a high return on the resources that you collect. Now, there's some cross-shard and server meshing considerations that will kind of adjust this design in the future, but we'll get into that later once we're really building it.
We'll deal with that when we
So
get
from
to
here,
it.
you've got the tool. So this is what we would consider a surveyor. With this, we want to actually
Let's skip forward a little bit here.
So building soft and say over forces beneath build. So you can see how it will all kind of come together. You'll see the resources that are needed for it. And then you can also switch back and forth between different modes, which are showing off the resource network and how you link basically power generators to consumers. And then the player can move or deconstruct existing buildings right now with no charge. Fabrication. So when you basically build these buildings, they don't come with any furnishings. And if you didn't bring any with you, then you want to build a fabricator. So depending on
Didn't bring any with you. That
what
sucks.
you want to build, there's different sizes of them that support buildings from decorations, armor, weapons, components, and even ships.
Yeah, I think that was the first time they ever said we could build ships.
So like base building mode, you need blueprints,
and I'm not going to lie, I didn't really expect that.
resources to craft what you want. Everything fabricated is produced from it produces a physicalized entity. Stats and quality will depend on the quality of the materials actually used. Once you've done that and you've built your decorations, now you can actually fill the room the way that you want to fill it. So furnishings can be purchased at different locations, or they can actually be fabricated. You can do that via first person or in a dedicated mode in the Surveyor's tool. With that, you've got different types of buildings. So you've got utility style, which would be garages, freight elevators, landing pads, storefronts. And then you've got extractors. So with extractors, we want to make sure that nothing in regards to resource gathering
This is from
fully
2023.
automated. A level of player engagement is always needed. So as Nick talked about before, there are different types of commodities, radioactive, perishable, etc. What you'll be doing is pulling out full containers. Then from there, it'll be repairing, or there's wear and tear associated with it, or even misfires like you saw in Thorsten's talk and Guillermo's talk yesterday. There's also upgrade paths for making them more efficient or resilient.
Satisfactory.
Power generators. So with different types of power generators, there'll be some that are more cost-effective as well as effective in different areas. Solar panels will and then shield your development Q1.
There
and then
it
the
is.
big one. We start development Q1.
So this is like...
That's me.
That
Thank
was
you
cool
all.
because a lot of times things would come up in CitizenCon, and it's like, okay, cool, you're talking about all this stuff, but when are you guys actually working on it? When is it actually going to come? So it was cool to hear that it was starting development soon, but like, here we are at the end of 2025, and we haven't really had a significant update on it now. I think this Q&A on base building was pretty solid. There were a few updates on it throughout the monthly reports this year. And then we also had this last year. So this is CitizenCon last year, in which we got more of an update on kind of how this would all work. That being said,
allows us to survey
so this
the
was
land,
good because this
claim
is
the
like
land in a lawful
it's one step up, right? First it was concept, now it was a sort of graphical showing of the design that they had. 1 year removed, I would now expect it to be working in the engine. I think that's where my expectations sit in terms of the next thing we see about base building. And that might be their saving graces to not covering this stuff all in Inside Star Citizens throughout the year, is they can take the time away to not make it feel like we're constantly getting updates on the most incremental changes in these systems other than a little text update in the monthly report. And they can save it to give us an actual big update at CitizenCon, but will they? I think this is one of the things that I would definitely expect from a gameplay update, but I do not know if they're actually going to do it.
system, and it allows us to build structures. As we've already found a location and don't need to claim land in Lawless Pyro, we can straight dive into building our base. Keep in mind, the following UI is work in progress. A survey drone that deploys from the top of the cart gives us a controllable augmented view of the land. In the new structure mode, we'll pick a small basic structure and hit construct. For this demo, the construction will be instantaneous, but in the final product, this will take you quite some time. We've done it. We've built our first structure. Let's have a look on the inside. As we walk into the small basic structure, we see an empty interior that is dimly lit. It's up to us to define what we will use this space for. In our case, we will want to make it into a home. We can see that the lights are still off, and that is a problem, because no lights means no atmosphere, no breathable atmosphere. So it's not ideal to live in. So how do we solve this issue? We can improve this by providing the building with power. Let's see if we can build something that helps us out. But before we dive into more building, let's take a quick moment to enjoy the freedom that the survey drone provides us with and admire the aesthetics of our first structure. And I wonder what Declan was up doing there. Keep in mind that base building is still work in progress, but what you're seeing right now has been recorded directly in the client and works seamlessly between first person and the building mode.
So the fact that they had it working in the client is good as of last year. This year then, big hopes would be now it works over a network, right? And not only does it work over a network, but like he mentioned, for instance, that the building wasn't building as it should. It was building immediately. Maybe we could see a little bit of progress on that. Maybe the UI has a little bit of a better layout. I would want to see some incremental change on this that leans more towards it being something that we're seeing next year.
Okay, enough.
That's a
Back
wish
to base
list.
building. In the list of new structures, we see a small fuel generator. That is something that could solve our problem, I think. Power providing structures need to be hooked up to other buildings inside construction ER mode. But we'll explain this later. The fuel generator is one of several structures that provides power, each with their own benefit and drawbacks. Fuel power is quick and easy to build, but it requires a constant supply of fuel besides its regular maintenance.
Like trees?
If a structure is not maintained,
They
it
just
will
run around in Satisfactory cutting down bushes and using that to fuel our base.
halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational. The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This is where the fuse goes on this building. Next up, we have a terminal that gives us access to the status of our building. And, more importantly, we get to activate it here. That should do it. Let's see if we got power in the building now. As you notice, some of the crates in the background have disappeared, as their content has been consumed during the construction process of the buildings. And it looks like Declan is now hooking up the power to the building.
You know what I would love to see is the ability for players to create a cargo grid so that when you do need to, because they're just telling us to put boxes down on a planet. Have you ever put boxes down on a planet in Star Citizen? It's like you put them down on a piece of rubber slicked with oil. It's not like actually physically there. They need to give us the ability to put down a box and then snap another box next to it and snap another box next to it and do that based on the terrain so that we can actually drop off cargo to be used for construction sites like this. Or at least construct something that's flat so we could do it there. Maybe only drones can do it. I will not be replaced by machines. Yes, I will. Who are we kidding?
Wow, Declan has been busy decorating the place. As we can see, the lights are now properly working. We got atmosphere, and we can start to use the item fabricator now that there is power. Always handy in case we need a fuse. Let's have a quick look at what we've done so far.
I like how he said they got atmosphere, but the interior temperature is 34 degrees Celsius.
Decorated the place. We made it our own little home. We hooked it up with power.
Now it's good.
I would say we have a place that we can live in.
It's a negative 29 degrees.
It might not be much, but I think it's just enough to call it a home. Thank you.
So that's where they were with that kind of scale of base building this time last year. And if we look at that trajectory, it's never constant, so I won't set expectations on that, I guess. But ideally, I think one of the most important things to get an update on this year would be base building. It doesn't have to be much. They could come on for 10 minutes and be like, here's our update on base building. How long was that demo? He started us off here, 25 minutes. We finished at 30. That was a 5-minute demo of base building. Probably one of the most significant things we saw at CitizenCon. In 2 hours, they could do 20 of those. Like it's not like 2 hours does not give them enough time to show us significant stuff. It's just a matter of what have they actually progressed on. Fake demo? I mean, even if it is a fake demo, then I expect them to make a year progress on fake demos. Show us a more complete fake demo. He said it worked in the client. So either he's a liar or it worked in the client. Either way, I would like to see something more advanced than that. This is another thing that I think would be really nice to learn more about. And I think this would be something they could show us when it comes to Planet Tech V5, which is resources in the ground, actual extractions from planets themselves, being able to scan them, being able to understand what is under the ground and how these resource deposits work, because this is also an important part of exploration, base building, probably data running, economy.
From here, we get a more detailed view of the land. Where can and can't I settle? For an example, inside a nature reserve, construction will be prohibited. Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity? Let's say we found a good place to start building our base.
Yeah, it just means like in their own computer on their build of the game.
Place for our first structure. On the left-hand side, we can see that we're now in structure creation mode. Underneath that, there is a list of structures that we can build. Once you have chosen a structure, you'll drag it onto the terrain, that will be shown then as a physicalized hologram. From here, you can move and rotate to find the perfect position for your structure. Now that we have chosen a position for our structure, we will need to supply it with crafting materials. Just like the crafting interface that we saw earlier, this is where you choose the materials, and the better materials you choose will result in a better structure. Once you're ready, we'll hit the craft button on the right bottom to send the construction drones printing to the buildings. The automated construction drones will take off from the construction graph card and fly to nearby resources to fill their internal storage and then fly over to the construction site to print the building until their internal storage has been depleted. The construction drone then repeats the loop by filling its internal storage again by nearby resources. Printing buildings will take some time. Keep the construction supplied so that you don't delay the process any further. Let's say our building did just finish printing, then what? Then we need power. We need to power the building. All structures will have a unpowered
and then this turns into StarCraft,
state.
the other SC. Yeah, it gets, you got resource management. Engineering is not just for ships. You got decoration of things on the inside of your bases. It's not a small thing.
More than just a home.
This idea of base building in the game. But like you said in chat, it's tied into a lot of systems. So yeah, even if they do give us an update, I don't think it's going to be necessarily all that exciting. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, everything is coming next year. It'll probably be something small. It's best to assume that if they haven't talked a ton about something they haven't worked on it a ton. I'm being more hopeful than anything in covering base building this thoroughly, but
my name is Deck. I am the system designer behind crafting and base building.
I think it would be very, very enticing if they had something to
That's
update
good
us
for
with.
cabin in the woods. Maybe you want to place it down next to big redwoods. Or crafting is what called in help of
Let
a
you
friend.
see some of this base building in action. This is on a larger scale for a little bit. I'll be right back. Enjoy the chair.
This has 4 automated drones compared to the GravCarts 2. They can build small, medium, and large buildings. So far, we've only seen small. Automated drones are capable of building 1 structure each simultaneously, so 4 is quite a big advantage. We'll pop into our construction AR and we'll get down a generator, we'll connect some buildings together just so we have a place to call home before we begin. All right, there we go. So we've settled on one of the brand new underground resource deposits and we're about to exploit it using this. It is our extractors. This particular one is a large solid extractor. We'll also have liquid and gas depending on which type of deposit that you've settled on. We have our output grid here where we're getting all the brand new resources up out the ground. And it is important to note that once these things are set up, it's not a case of just free resources forever. On key structures like this, there are fuses which will occasionally need replaced, as well as environmental wear which can be fixed using crafting materials. Now we want to turn those raw resources into more valuable refined materials. We saw the process talked about earlier with Thorsten. Of course we want this, it is our refinery. Once again there are multiple types here. This one is the large solid matter refinery. We have liquid and gas again, as well as biological, depending on the type of materials that you're using and want to produce.
What I missed.
Refinery has input and output grids. For input, as you might expect, it's for the resources which you're going to consume, and then the output is for the resulting refined goods. This is determining where you'd select which blueprint you want to use, and therefore which type of refining method you want.
Cypher, did you get in trouble for spam?
A lot of crates here with our extractor and our refinery, so we're going to put down our elevator
Interestingly,
storage.
base building is coming around at like a similar time to engineering.
Base is really starting to
Like
build
all
up now,
these
but it's
things
worth
took
me
so
mentioning again
long
here
that if
whilst we're putting
any
these
of
buildings
them,
down instantly in this
if
video,
any of them had
large
actually come
structures like
on
this, they
time,
will
it would
take
have been
some time
early.
with the automated construction drones.
I don't know. That's
But
kind
the
of
smaller
weird.
scale base we
It's
saw
funny
in the previous
in a
video,
weird way.
that can be done in a single
Are they
play
broadcasting live? No, this is from last year.
We'll just keep on putting down more extractors because we want as much as that
Just keep
valuable
plopping them,
resource
dude.
out the ground as quick as possible.
You don't need additional pylons
And
yet.
with
Just keep
base
going.
building, we're introducing the concept of a freight elevator network. What this will allow you to do is it will allow you to link multiple freight elevators together, and in turn they will share the same storage. So as we're doing here, we'll deposit an item on freight elevator A, and then we're retrieving it on freight elevator B. There is a distance limit, but you can daisy chain the elevators together to extend that, and it has to all be contained within the same base.
Really interested in knowing how they're going to incentivize doing this kind of stuff throughout bases in terms
Now,
of
as we
gameplay.
expand, we might want to invite more people to
Like how are you going to keep people on site in bases actually moving freight around and doing all this kind of stuff? I guess if you're powering a place or if you're mining stuff away, then you do have to transport it, say, from your mining machines over to like wherever your spaceships touch down to pick it up to go. So resource production, yes. But how else? How else are they going to incentivize that kind of stuff? I don't play a lot of MMOs, so I'm not used to base building. So like maybe I'm missing some obvious applications of why people hang out around bases besides just hanging out.
join us. This is easy to do. There will be permissions that we can set up, granting people access to our base, and they can even build their own structures if they wish. We can also give them access to existing structures, which is how you can form your org storage using those freight elevators. Now, we always want a safe place to store our ships, so the trusty hangar will do.
Nice little cinematic thrown in there.
See, it has this large, we call it a foundation tile. It's quite special in that it can actually deform the terrain around it, making it easy to place such a huge structure like this. You can also place other buildings on it, so it's easy for making large, sprawling bases. However,
People in
there is
MMOs
one
never
final piece
leave
of
their
the puzzle
home.
that we need to achieve our goal,
No,
and
good
it
for
is
them.
this, our very own fabrication hangar. Does anyone want to guess what we're going to build in a fabrication hangar? An Idris, maybe not an Idris, if I'm honest. We'll have a drive around, we'll go to the entrance and we'll see what's in store for us. Looks like whatever it is, it's just about finished crafting. Of course, we were going to build ourselves
The best
a
ship in the game, of course.
So, quick recaps of the gains from industrializing. We've tapped into the brand new resources and we've made use of them by turning into the more valuable refined materials. We've introduced freight elevator networks, which are great for logistics and hauling. And then we've created our fabrication hangar, which allows us to craft big valuable items such as ships. Now, ships are valuable because you can fly them, you can play content with them, but because they are a crafted item, they can also be sold to other players.
Yeah, so this is a not likely, but I really hope kind of thing for this CitizenCon is the social tools and the interaction stuff. If they could give us any sort of update whatsoever on player shops or even on player trading, on like even just an interface that pops up when you want to hand something to another player. Let us interact. Let us be friends. That's like one of the biggest things that I'm really hoping they could get into here, because I'm quite tired of placing stuff on the ground and worrying it's going to fall straight through the floor just because I want my friend to have the realignment card and not myself. You're here to huff hopium, snort snopium, and disappoint yourself as hard as physically can on the day, dude. That's what we're here for, man. We suffer together. We all get in the corner and shake until we hopefully fall asleep and wake up to some decent news the next day. What a great reality that is. That sounds terrible. Depends on the sector you built in. There are high sec and low sec securities. Are you sure you would not rather have JPEG bases to wander around? Dude, as much as I love walking around on a bunch of pictures of things, I like touching stuff. Don't get dirty with that.
So, with base building, you're going to be able to set up your own shops, and there's two main ways you can do this. The first is using a dedicated trading terminal. You can link these to your freight elevators, and in turn, any items within can be listed for sale at a price you deem reasonable. This includes resources, refined materials, and so on. Using the terminal, visiting players can browse what's on offer, purchase, and then collect from that.
I'm going to jump forward a little bit here.
Do you want your customers on Edge and Pyro, which tends to have the higher quality materials? Or do you want to spend time hauling them all the way over to safer systems where your customers can be more at peace? We've talked about selling items. Let's sell the look of your base. We have foundation tiles, which can help you divide up the foundation decals, which help you divide up the foundation tile. You can place them freely wherever you want, and they just help you mark up areas like, I want to use this place for cargo, I want this for housing, vehicles, and so on. You'll be able to earn paints in-game and apply them to buildings.
That's so much potential there, man. That's, the monetization potential for base customization is kind of wild.
as well as add your own custom tech. So if you're part of an org, the blue buildings that have your name are definitely yours. We have some forms of base building which are either still in the design phase or early white box, but we want to share some details. First up, we have farming and ranching. Farming, it comes in two general types. We have
Dude, you know farming is still in the early design phase. Although, I can confirm that at least at one point in their history, they actually were working on some farming. Go back to the handy-dandy archive. And way back in the day, in 2021, they were looking at farming plants. Basically, the idea of what plants would look like as they grew and expanded over time. Obviously, as you left them on your base to grow and put out fruits. Like, they've gotten further along with this since then, with Flora giving out harvestables and stuff like that. But they've also looked at the way that plants change over the seasons and all that kind of stuff. They're definitely working towards this. But farming is like the number one thing I would expect to still be in the design phase when he says design in white box, because that is the least important thing on their minds. You can already hear your wallet crying. Say, cool. Be strong, brother. Hold the line, as they say.
Tech farming and then high tech.
Thank you for the super
Low
chat,
tech
man.
consists of you acquiring the seeds, planting them in the appropriate environment. If you remember back to yesterday, the Brave New Worlds, we had soil types and such now. That'll play a part. As well as supplying them with nutrients and then just harvesting them when they're grown.
Not gonna lie, dude. Farming sounds more deep than medical gameplay when he talks about it.
High tech, it's a bit more involved because you've got to make the hydroponic buildings we see here, but in return you'll be able to grow exclusive strains of plants. Ranching will allow you to keep
exclusive strains of plants. Plants. You know, the plants that make you go. Those kinds of plants.
Herds of animals. You'll have to provide them with feed, water, and shelter, but in return they will provide you with produce. Not every animal can be ranched. I don't really see a sandworm ranch anytime soon, but the quasi-grazer will, of course, will.
Milk, dude.
Maybe.
Holy shit. Could you imagine if one of the resources that you got from the quasi-grazer, because there's also going to be like food in the game for nutrition ways, and I kind of like that. The fact that there is some expectation that food will be something that can buff you in certain ways. Like, you already can get it, right? And if you drink Cruise Lux, you get a buff in both your fullness from food, but also your hydration. They could do plenty of different stuff like that with buffing of the actor status system. So food could be important. Do you imagine if they made the milk from the cows important and they made it blue? They love their Star Wars references, dude. I do not put it past them at all. Sticky icky eat. Sticky eat.
No. We have a few more additional archetypes. We have landing pads, garages, roads, fencing, as well as new variants of structures which we've seen today. For instance, the power generator, there'll be solar power, fusion, geothermal, as well as the XL structure class. If you remember, everything we've seen today, the biggest we've seen today rather, is large. XL is larger than large. And then you have your defense.
Of course it's New Manchester.
So, in lawful areas, you have varying levels of security provided for you. With max security, you are protected by planetary shield tech. However, in lawless, pyro and the likes, you'll have to provide your own defenses. These come in the form of perimeter walls, shielding, which prevents aerial bombardments, and then a range of automated turrets, such as PDC to shoot down missiles, anti-air, anti-vehicle, and anti-personnel. To round up, whilst we spent this entire time talking about how you can expand a single base, you can, of course, have multiple. These can be across a single planet, moons, across multiple systems. There are advantages and disadvantages.
Bro, GII is going to spread like a freaking plague in the Magnus system.
Advantages of locations and base types. For example, in lawful areas, you'll need to buy your land for UEC, pay a tax to be able to build, and then you'll gain protection in return. In lawless, no cost. Higher chance of better quality materials, but no security to fall back on. A small cabin in the woods can be great to set up in a single play session with short build times. However, the large base we just saw will take days, weeks, or even months, depending on how big you want to go. You might want to embark on this endeavor as a team or an org. You can.
So basically everything he's saying, but in more detail, and actually in the game in some way. So here's a little scissor rule. They said of it, you better not laugh at my favorite star system, buddy. Watch it. Watch yourself. What planet was this? This is just some random planet probably they made for the demo. Actually, it might have been a pyro planet. Why didn't they take out the bomber? So that's their base building reel. Yay! Hopefully we see something about that. But who knows? To be honest, I think Magnus is more likely to exist in this game than a lot of other planets, or a lot of other systems. Magnus only has a few planets. It contains an important landing zone. It's connected to both Terra and Stanton. Makes sense as one of the first possible expansions in the next like 10 years. Next generation will be doing that. Man, I don't know. I'm gonna be more resilient than you've given us credit for, dude. You have a struggle getting rid of me when it comes to waiting for a space game. I will literally push the grave aside if that space game's still coming out. Dang, I got a lot of ice in here. All right. Let's jump back to CitizenCon 2022. The one that's actually most like the CitizenCon Direct we're getting this year. In that year, was it 22? Might have been 21 actually, I'm thinking of. In that year, yeah, it was 21.
Outfits and adjust.
No, I'm sorry.
So that they can walk around the outpost and.
Yeah, it is 21. This is the year where it was all digital. It was all pre-recorded and kind of talking heads at cameras with little demonstrations in the middle. This is what I think this year's CitizenCon Direct is mostly going to be like. And here you have like the same kind of demo thing that I was talking about them possibly doing this year.
And how it changes based off of what you do and how you have faction with the certain game.
Wasn't Nick's next in line? Yeah, I mean, we've got a few systems.
So here we are waking up in 400i that will be released in 3.15. This is the competitor to the Constellation. Doesn't compromise cargo for vehicle storage. It's faster, more agile than the Connie, and it can run with a smaller crew. So this is the captain's quarters, and then we'll go out and see a little bit more of the habitation.
Yo, is that window actually in the 400i right here? This window in the cabin? That's kind of nice.
Habitation deck, and then make our way to the cockpit. So this would be the social area that you can meet and eat and basically plan your next mission.
The interior of the 400i is actually pretty nice. I like it. I like the way it looks. It feels cozy while still being pretty nice. But golly gee, this ship is just freaking it's almost useless right now. So cool. Thank you for the super chat, mate. Once you get a gold spaceship
And
or two,
then
you are not allowed to die
from here
until
we'll
the
go to
ship,
the
the game
cockpit.
comes out. That's true. The ships keep you alive.
So here we're over Pyro 3.
And the pain
We've
in
come
your wallet.
here for a mission to acquire an artifact. And you'll be making your way down to a trading post. So wanted to just give you a quick overview, and then we can start.
Just to send a point home, I want to go back to CitizenCon 2019 and show you guys where they were going for their demo at that point. And you can literally listen to them like kind of introducing it. Ooh, this is tomato broth
like
tea.
that, but it is part
Thank
of
you.
survival.
So he just said, okay, this is we're taking you to Pyro 3, which is somewhere where we want to take you in the next update. And I think he said the same thing here.
We want people to play together, or we want the players to at least have the ability, or if they have the desire to play together, to do it very quickly.
And this is a mission to go down to Microtech, which is the first time we're going to go down there and visit part of it and steal a software encryption.
Right? Big reveal, yeah? They love doing this with their demos. They like to do a fly-in with a reveal, talking about the terrain and the planet tech.
Microtech is largely snow. This is kind of important, right? Another principle of V4 is we want to dramatically reduce the amount of biome tiling. So what we want to do is it should be a one-to-one. So what you see in space is what you see on ground. The type of popping, crossfading, we want to get rid of that completely. So it should be a seamless transition. Also here, we knew we was going to do a cold planet. We thought it'd be really good to have a frozen ocean. So this was a brand new shader that we put into development. And what we have right now is it's physicalized. So we can walk and drive on it. Yeah.
So they love showing off the new planets.
Smooth, it's pretty awesome. There's some talks today that will talk about the graphics tech behind it and also just how they created the stuff. And as we're flying here, one other thing I want to point out, which is not necessarily the Planet Tech V4, but it's we've been sort of working on the flight experience, and that's an ongoing project for the combat and the flight experience. But one thing that
So using these kind of demos and showcases, it just makes it easy to show off other stuff in the meantime. That's why I think that with just 2 hours to spend doing this, there's a good chance that that's what they're going to use to try and showcase a lot of the things that they've been working on. If we keep going back even further from 2019, let's go back to 2018. And we can look at what they were doing for CitizenCon that year as well. Because I believe it is a similar kind of thing. If we find the keynote demo.
1/6 of the size is still way bigger than anyone else is doing on planets, like 1-1, but it's a nice balance between having the size and the scale and allowing you to traverse it in reasonable times.
So again, looking at planets, doing a demo on kind of, this was a little bit of a different one. They gave us the city outward experience rather than the space down to the planet experience. But the next thing that was coming up was Hurston and its planet and the city. That was what the big reveal was for 2018. So if you go to every year, at least, where they've done one of these demos of the game, they always end up showing off whatever planet is coming next, whatever tech is coming next, whatever kind of points of interest are coming next.
If you look back a little bit,
and for us, that's Nyx.
There's security guards here to make sure that they're
So I think there's a pretty good dang chance that we're going to get some kind of a gameplay showcase, and it is going to in some way take us to Nyx. Just I don't know, expectation, whatever. The demo itself, though, might have stuff that doesn't show up in the game for a little while. It's protecting be seen, and we can go back to the Microtech one for that. Oh, I think I left it behind. Yeah, the Microtech mission is the kind of mission that I actually expect them to put into the game at this point. But I don't know if they actually will, because as cool as it is, it's not really that important of a mission. They can kind of just make all the other missions that we have in these same locations rather than creating a new data hacking mission. But I would like to see it. I think they could easily do this now.
Still run the.
Quick. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Nix or Microtech 2.0? That is a good question. Considering that they're already putting teases of the terraforming in the loading screen, I would guess that whatever is going to happen with the terraforming is happening in the next 2 updates. So either 4.4 or 4.4.1. I imagine it's 4.4. So they might be just about ready to show us Microtech 2.0. That's all speculation, though. Microtech might not even be the planet that gets the V5 treatment. We'll have to see. I don't know. I couldn't tell. But yeah, you can close it. Thank you. What would Microtech 2.0 be? We could touch on that in a minute. Just their new planet tech applied to Microtech, so better rock scattering, better trees,
And again, this is
better
building
biomes.
right? So that's all put together by a designer fairly quickly without having to have Flash programmers or.
Yeah, this is the same thing they used on Pyro 4 in the ASD locations.
Get it? Let's get out of here with our ill-gotten gains. Can't really go that way.
Yeah.
They also had no semblance of AI stealth back then. At least they finally do have that in game now. Just 6 years.
Right, I don't know. This looks alright.
I also think whatever the demo is that they do is going to be a lot more professional than they used to be.
Blending in.
They've gotten way better at that.
Okay.
You mind telling us what the hell's going on? Hey, talking to you. This is our project. You can't just freeze us out like this.
Oh, a little lore? They're just not even responding. Hey, f you, lady. Oh, come on. Come on, man. I've played stealth games before, but please, God, tell me that they would have seen you in this situation. They don't. They only see what's in front of them. Stupid AI. Aren't those the tubes from the latest patch? What tubes? Oh, they do look kind of similar, but no, I think those are bigger. They had little like touch pads on the front where you could open them up. These kind of look like test chambers of some sort. So something they used to do a lot in these demos was like making alternate paths of traversal, which we are starting to see in areas. That is something that they've incorporated into the design. But that was such a trademark. They had so many different little trademarks of these demos.
Ooh, jeez.
The multi-tool cutting was one of them.
That was close. You know, let's put it on top of his. Okay.
They just don't care. They see you because they hate their boss. Okay. We could use that. It's like psychological warfare. Ferment unrest in the company before you invade it.
Oops, daisy. I think we better get out of here, Glenn.
Glenn! Legendary assassination. You fling him forward.
So we have non-lethal takedowns now.
Yeah, let's get out. Yeah, it's part of that.
Yeah.
So melee combat does ship
Yes,
at 3.8,
yes.
and it's a lot more than just that. But it's non-lethal takedowns. You'll be able to fight
To knock people out.
knock people out, get into
Fisticuffs.
There's a whole sort of different levels of punch, left, right, block, left, right. It's all actually physically based. So we've grabbed something kind of warm, but we're not really ready to it. We've actually stashed a getaway environment suit. And Richard Trier, I want to bring up to the stage. So Richard's the lead designer on our actor feature team, and I'd like him to talk a little about what is happening right here.
So this is before Rich became a bigger part of the company, but this was like right in the middle of his ascent. I think he started working at CIG either in 2019 or 2018, and he came on mostly in FPS stuff. But in like the 4 or 5 years since then, he started out just helping with FPS to eventually leading the company and basically taking the job of the guy he's standing next to in this demonstration. But you can kind of see how he talked about it back then and how that worked its way into the game overall now, the way he talks about it now. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you, Girth. Mr. Girth Gordon, hope you are as well. Love all your videos and effort on this game. Made me re-download it. I'm stoked to mosey my way around the ASD facilities. I hope they work well for you. It's a pretty fun time, the ASD facilities. It's a cool storyline. Thanks for dropping by, man, and hitting up the chat.
Beginning at the active status system that will ship in 3.9.
So what you're seeing here is basically
Did
an
you lose
extension
me?
of the room system, and the room system contains temperature, wind speed, humidity, and it basically amalgamates all of that into what you're seeing on the HUD at the moment, which is the apparent temperature. So the apparent temperature actually comes in and is part of our player status system. And the player status system is where you start to feel these environments, and the actual environments start to play into the gameplay. So you can see here that actually the physicalized wind, he's actually leaning into the wind, he's putting his hand up to try and shield himself, but he's not wearing the correct attire.
Man, it's crazy. The kind of the 3.x era is going to be something we really look back on and just remember how ridiculous it was. We were like cheering on getting the most basic stuff like melee gameplay and things, and it's weird. What a journey. What a journey. PK, you guys playing Dune right now? How's that going? You hope we see some of the next system and base building at CitizenCons this year? I think we'll see Nyx. I don't think we're going to see Castra. Somebody asked about Castra earlier.
And this is in the volumetric cloud, the space cloud tech that we have. Same stuff that we're using for Squadron 42 for the coil, but as you can see, usable everywhere else. It's completely volumetric lit in, and it's
Yeah, they didn't
beautiful.
have the clouds in game at that time. You can always tell what wasn't in game at that time by how much talk it gets.
And here we're at the jump point to the pyro system. Now, you don't necessarily need infrastructure for jump points, but the more traveled ones are the ones that used to be traveled, which pyro used to be, but not particularly anymore, have what we call jump rings around them, and they help stabilize the jump point to make for a smoother jump. If you don't have one, then it's more difficult, and the entrance is harder or difficult. But sometimes you may want to try a sort of side jump point to get into a system, like if you're a smuggler, because the main ones would be more, essentially they are like a checkpoint. It's like going through a border
port.
patrol or something.
It is basically a port. So when we're building the solar system, one of the things that we think about are entrances for obviously economy reasons, and you saw that with Tony Z's talk of way to interject new things into the solar system. So around the Stanton jump points, the three major ones, we will have space stations, so that you can go and travel, and let's say you're at a long jump point and want to stop and basically drop something off there, you
or
can.
Refuel,
or do whatever you need to do. So we will have space stations around those jump points that you can go and interact with. Now, obviously, when you go into a little bit more lawless system, I don't want to say like building a wall.
Yeah. Well, in the case of Pyro, it used to be a regulated system.
Yes.
That once they strip mined it out, no one goes there anymore, and it's fallen sort of in. That once they strip Pyro, it used.
Look at Little Rich here. Look at him. Oh, look at him. Looking up to his predecessor. Little Rich just helping out. Eventually going to be leading the whole thing.
A regulated system.
Yes.
That once they strip mined it out, no one goes there anymore, and it's fallen sort of into a lawless state.
Yes.
And so this is not really this isn't a very often traveled jump point, but we're going to take it because that's where we have to go to head to Pyro Station. So as you can see, the jump ring, which is delineating where the point is off in the distance, and Sam is going to line herself up for us to jump to Pyro System.
He doesn't smile like that anymore.
Essentially, sort of the infrastructure you occasionally would, you
He doesn't know
his
that happiness anymore.
Bigger stations, but as I said, the Pyro route isn't a very particularly well-traveled one.
But also with this, I guess with the cloud tech, you see the possibilities of us going in and mining that. And then it affecting your radar, it being booby-trapped, all these kind of gameplay possibilities. I feel...
You know, they keep mentioning that Pyro is not as well-traveled, and it will be interesting to see once we're connected to a system like Terra, how much traffic there will be in between Stanton and Terra, because that's a lot more of like a normally progressed place. Maybe there's just a constant stream of ships going in and out, you know? Especially once we eventually get AI ships flying around. Oh, golly gee, I cannot wait for that. Oh my gosh.
That's actually a super cool view. See that one? How good that is. That looks awesome. Okay.
Oi. Yeah, our jump points don't work like that.
So
Thank
going
God.
through a wormhole is a little bit like riding the rapids. You don't
Looks
really
like working
have
through a
much,
colon, dude.
You have lateral control,
but it's
little bit
being
of
on a
forward, but you're
current.
being pushed on a current,
Yeah.
and you've got to keep inside the boundaries of the wormhole. And actually, if Sam gets a little close, you'll sort of see interference on his screens. And of course, Stanton's just going away in the background, and Pyro's coming in here.
Of course. That's all that's happening.
Yeah, and you can see there's actually a current that we put in the wormholes, and you sort of see the particles that are giving you the idea where the center line current is. And you have to anticipate to keep on the course, because if you don't, and you go off and you go into the boundaries of the wormhole, you could end up just being spat out in just space in the middle of nowhere, or severely damaged.
I like how it looks more like it was branching paths in this one rather than just one tunnel. But I guess that's supposed to be the idea behind the what do they call it? The other jump tunnels, the non-permanent ones, tangential, transitional, horpitacial. I don't even remember.
Go around, Glenn.
Glenn!
Okay, so...
Glenn!
We are now in the Pyro system, and we streamed out Stanton while we were...
Transient, thank
as
you.
we were traveling, and streamed in Pyro. The other side, by the way, has got an awesome light on the side, yeah.
And then they had Ruined Station just sitting there because they were like, oh, people recognize Ruined Station over there. Even like it wouldn't even make sense for it to be next to the jump point, but you know what? Yeah.
Sam.
See, this is what won't happen this year. They've gotten so much better at presenting this kind of stuff. There's just all kinds of
Set a route to the Ruined Station.
they're
Sam?
like they have to like guide the whole thing from on stage.
There we go.
And you're like, guys.
All right, Ian.
So yeah, that was that.
Good job, guys.
And then
Good job,
obviously
Mike.
it wouldn't be CitizenCon without some egregious dates being given. Let's see what he's got for us.
Hang on a sec. I think I get another.
Nah, it won't be
There
live.
should be a slide that we go to.
So,
Not
you
a
know,
ship, a slide, come
we'll
on.
be missing that.
Slide. There you
See,
go.
stuff like this.
Anyway, so in this coming year, we were sort of showing you what we're going to do. So we
Pyro, dynamic weather, jump points, and more in, wait for it, 2020 they put on the screen.
It was at this moment he knew. He fucked up.
So, if there's a date at CitizenCon, you know not to trust it. Okay? Because this is not the last time that we will look at a ridiculous date being given. It was not the last time that I fell for a ridiculous date being given. I try not to do that too much anymore. But yeah, we got this and we got these things in 2020 freaking 5, man. So, don't trust the dates. But I do think a demo like that is something that we'll see. Let us go back to the previous year now. No. I'm going to go back even further. To the most sad. Man, this is all the way back, dude. This is back before they even had like their thumbnail templates. They're just putting words on pictures back then. Let's see, 3.9. Around the verse, lighting. Around the verse. Around the verse. 10 for the chairman. We're too far. We're too far back. Here's the Gamescom 2016. First Planet Tech landing. There we go. CitizenCon 2016 full presentation.
it is that our biggest.
All right. So this is a lesson in expectation setting.
Stuff. Kind of our roadmap. Obviously, we talked about 3.0 back in Gamescom, which is sort of the first kind of you would consider. Yeah, that's I wouldn't say it's what Star Citizen the final game is going to be, but a lot of games, if they add those features, they'll be very happy. Which is going to have trading, cargo, piracy, smuggling, mercenary, bounty hunter, which we talked about. We're going to try to get the Stanton system in there fleshed out. It's going to be using the Planet V2 technology, which I am going to show you very shortly after I've gone through these slides.
Planet Tech always always showing up in these demos.
Which I think you guys are going to like. And in 3.0 we'll have we'll have things like the Rover and the Dragonfly, who you saw a little bit of at Gamescom, Caterpillar, the Aquila, which you may or may not see here in a bit. Okay, so and I want to give you a bit of roadmap after 3.0, so you know what we're doing. I guess there's a lot of miners here. So 3.1, and just also, by the way, in case you haven't noticed it, I know last year we said, well, we're going to do a release. We're going to try to do a release every month. After going through this year, we've sort of realized that that's a very hard cadence to do, because by the time you get new content in and you start testing it and get feedback, it's almost impossible to get a significant amount of content to test and do the feedback. So I would say that our cadence on releases, which is what you've seen in the last few releases, is probably going to be something like 2 to 3 months between releases. So just to give
they went back down to 1 month, but I I don't think it's something they can stick to for a long, super long time. Northern Tech Hermit, thank you for coming in with the sub on Twitch, my dude. Roll on CitizenCon 2025, baby. Much love. Appreciate you coming through. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Yeah, Gumbo, look at that. Hull C in Alpha 3.1. And let me be clear, okay? They were of the mindset that this would be quarterly. So this would have been March of 2017? No, of 2018, because they weren't planning on getting 3.0 out until the following year, I guess. So this would have been March of 2018.
Expectations, because I don't want to go through 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4, and everyone goes, okay, we're going to get that in 4 months. Because again, we'll get shot by everyone on the development side.
I mean, dude, you set the expectations for a year. 4 months is crazy. 1 year is nuts, dude. This process that he's lining up right now took 9 years to come to fruition. 9. And not all of it is in there. It definitely, like, plans change, okay? I'm not saying all of that is his fault. There are things that changed technologically, things that were figured out, obviously all that kind of stuff. But like the level of expectation setting.
Thank you very much.
CitizenCon was one of the low points of this project. Weird Alien, thank you for gifting out some subaroos, my dude. Appreciate you. Can I get an amen for Weird Alien over on Twitch? Throw him up on the Toast Gang. Oh, that's a 1 instead of an I.
Thank you very much.
I figured it out. Yo, gifted out more subs. Hey, you get 2 claps for that, my man. Thank you, brother, for the support. Thanks for passing out those subs over to the good people of the stream on Twitch, guys. If you just got a sub, just a heads up. Like I said, just put out an exclusive video yesterday. Anybody who gets a sub on Twitch has access to all the exclusive videos. You just got to go to Discord and you can access them. This most recent one was about all the carrots that CIG has dropped in front of us to keep us going all this time, and how they're switching from just using these kinds of carrots that we're literally looking at right now to delivering more actual in-game tangible stuff. Thank you for giving more people access to that, and thank you, Beanstalking, as well, for passing out a sub.
Thank you very much.
But anyway, so 3.1 is going to have mining. We're going to have refining and processing. We're going to have quantum interdiction, which means
refining and processing in 3.1. Dude,
be able to wait and pull people out of quantum travel, whether it's AI or you're doing it yourself. Refueling, escort. We're gonna add.
What's the point of making videos and streams just to guess what they would announce? This is pathetic. Hey, dude, you know what's even more pathetic? Commenting on it. I'm having fun, man. I'm chilling with my friends and talking about a game I like. What are you doing?
Additional locations to Stanton, we're gonna have the new Drake ships. Well, we already have the red and blue, but in the new way we do ships. The Miss Cull C for trading, the Prospector for mining,
the Hull
Origin
C
85X, which was this kind of cool cruiser that was with the 890 jump. And if you already have an 890 jump, of course you will get that already. The next one up would be 3.2 with repair and salvage. So we'll be able to salvage.
Good old salvage 3.18. Salvage came in 3.18, not 3.2.
Repair. So dive a bit deeper in mercenary, because we have some mercenary stuff that will be in 3.0, and we'll be sort of fleshing all these out. Again, adding more locations in Stanton and fleshing it out further. Finishing out the RSI ships in the new way. Terrapin.
This is why he doesn't do the presentation. In my opinion, I mean, like if you hold on. How do I duplicate this? You go back to last year's 1.0.
Be measured.
He did the whole introduction.
How it's grown over the last 12 years, because we definitely did not have that on the initial Kickstarter or the pitches that we were doing. And, Star Citizen is a living game. I mean, we're constantly always adding content and features and tech. As you can see, we're constantly upgrading you know, what we're doing on the graphics
Brother
side, making
Shogi.
it better and always improving it. And even after we would consider it a released or a shipped game, not an alpha game, we will still be doing that. So it's just, it will be a living game. We'll never do Star Citizen 2.0. It will always be sort of Star Citizen that will continue to
1.200. So he does this whole introduction, right, to what Star Citizen 1.0 is. Not a short introduction. But then he hands it off to
All right,
Rich.
Don't crash.
Yeah. Hello, CitizenCon.
Like he, and you know, it can be delineating responsibilities. He doesn't have to do everything, and a good leader makes sure they're not doing everything, but he very well might just not be the person to give the big messaging on the direction of the game anymore, because obviously other people had to be involved in the process of putting a slide together like this, but like his messaging oftentimes sets expectations far too high. Shogi, dude, thank you so much. Thank you for the subs on Twitch. I'm sorry I missed you there. Gifting out 5. Toast King it is. My man Shogi. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good stream, dude. Good week. A good October. Happy October, everybody. It's October. Can you believe it? It is scary month. It's time to start watching scary things. Me and Mrs. Tomato, we watched we've been trying to find scary movies to watch, guys. We've been watching Midnight Mass going out again, Mike Flanagan's series. But we've been trying to find movies to watch too. We tried The Inhabitant. We tried Longlegs. Just haven't been getting entertained. I want more quality scary movies, man. Or you know what I would like? I would like a remake of Fear. I want to play New Age Fear. That game was so perfectly scary. Watch Alien Earth, so good. Looking for like the paranormal scary. Monsters are like scary. Aliens are scary, but that's also when I'm looking for a good sci-fi. I want a solid paranormal scare 'em up. I'm getting thrown across the room, but I didn't just walk into the room and ask for this kind of thing, you know? Which is so ridiculous. The things that people do in scary movies these days drive me insane. Y'all are idiots. From is great. Love From. We got about 3 episodes into From season 3 before we could not continue on. That is one of the most sad seasons of a show I've ever watched. God, why did they kill her, dude? So yeah, we love From, but that one tugs on the heartstrings. Mithrigan is the follow-up to Megan. Mithrigan. Longlegs is a solid movie, but it's very slow. Fear was good until it became a time trial runaway. That's a funny way to put it. Marianne. I think we saw Marianne. I think we watched that already, if I'm not mistaken. Marianne. Yeah. Oh, it's a television series. Okay, maybe we didn't watch it. But you know, we're looking for them movies. I'll keep it in mind. Looks like it's got good ratings, but it's a slow burn. Slow burn, they say. I tend to be a more fast burn, you know. Beanstalk and Jimmy, thank you for gifting out that sub to the community. And Sammy G11, thank you for your Prime sub. Appreciate you 2 months on. Shogi also subbed up. Visit Orison, City in the Clouds. You dropping Orison ads in my chat, buddy? Buckaroo? Have not watched Weapons yet. That's on our short list. Mrs. Tomato's been wanting to watch that. We did watch The Substance. I hate body horror, so that was like the worst for me. Prototype is a game you wish they would bring back. Prototype was a cool one. That and Infamous coming up around the same time defined that year of gaming for me. Will I play the Mortuary Assistants? No, I saw actually a video of that game, and I would rather not. I personally don't like scary games. I told Mrs. Tomato that I would play one with her this year for October, and so we will. But we'll see. Maybe we'll just play some. What is that one that I am so very good at? What was it called? Phasmophobia. I'm a pro at that one. Yeah, I just sit in the back and call out names and hope people are okay. You haven't found any good horror movies in a long time that compete with the classics. All the good content is a series these days. Yeah, man, lots of series stuff. Can't find, like, I'm looking for, you know, that Hereditary kind of horror movie. But you don't see them too often. Anyways, horror movies. All that to say, happy October, you lovely, beautiful individuals. Let's get back to the egregious dates, shall we?
And then the variants of the Vanguard and the Reclaimer, which is a beautiful ship. And I know it's one of Nate's favorite ships. So if you know Nathan Disley likes the ship, it's going to be awesome. 3.3.
Oh boy, 3.3, buddy. Farming and rescue. You know, the funniest thing about this is that rescue is we're still trying to get rescuing working. I mean, farming's not in the game, but we're still trying to get rescue working. It's the freaking medical beacons, man.
Who knew farming was so popular?
Who knew farming was so far away, Chris?
So what we're going to aim for 3.3 is farming, sort of the rescue side. Yeah.
Yeah, the Banu Merchantman is like getting slapped across the face.
And then you can hit Tony up about all this here, because...
Bro, these references age so poorly. Oh my god. Yeah, just hit Tony up about this.
Yet more fleshing out while we're doing the Stanton. And, you know, the Anvil Carrack, which I think everyone's... That's the 890 jump, right? And
those are in the game.
Merchantman. So there you go.
That one is.
And by the way, so once the Squadron 42, the Foundry 42 team working on the Squadron 42 ships, they're going up. They're actually all rolling. So the way we're going to do it is that our biggest vehicle team is in Foundry 42, and right now most of them are working on the Squadron 42 ships because a lot of them, there's a lot of Vandal ships, a lot of UE big ships like the Bengal, I mean the Idris, the Javelin.
You know what the craziest part about this is? I'm so freaking glad that I wasn't like more closely involved at this time, because I would feel really bad about having watched this back then. That being said, I joined maybe a year or so later in terms of paying attention. I got a game package, and like a lot of people, I just wasn't paying attention for a few years. I joined a year or two later, and I saw this kind of stuff, and I still thought that it would be closer at hand, but man, this is like, I oftentimes go back to this and just see this as the most pathetic part of this whole project. And I'm really glad that they've gotten a lot better at setting expectations since then. But there are still signs of that kind of stuff in the last few years that it's just like, you guys gotta get away from this sort of thing. It is bad. This was actually this was the same year that Squadron 42 missed its most recent release date, 2016, Answer the Call. The big one, right? And so not only was Squadron 42 not coming out that year, but then this was also being trotted out as what was about to happen for Star Citizen.
So they're all going to roll off onto sort of the big new ships, which are, you know, Carrack, Jump, Merchantman, the Hull C we had before. And the US vehicle teams are going to be focusing on sort of the more, you know, the more contained, like, you know, something like a Buccaneer or the F8 or something like that. So anyway, and so that's what we're going to have with 3.3. There we go. And then finally, 4.0. So this is
dude, they said all of that by the end of the next year, but like they actually delivered some of that. Okay, this stuff, we still don't have some of this stuff. Like, this is so far disconnected. At least when they did CitizenCon 2023, they put some of the stuff from that CitizenCon into the very next update. There were things from that CitizenCon that we already saw in terms of gameplay. This is a slideshow about stuff that hasn't even been touched on since this slide. Science and research ain't nothing. Anvil Crucible hasn't even been talked about since this slide. I will definitely say like they messed up with the 2023 CitizenCon. But I can pretty confidently say that they've done nothing as bad as this. They were talking about 4.0 within 4 quarters of 3.0. It took, what, 728 quarters or so instead? So, yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with messaging coming from people who aren't necessarily just like hyped and talking about stuff up at the top of the company, but rather the people who are actually working on the stuff and have some idea. Like when Ali Brown talks about expectations for the work that's going into the engine, you can rely on that a lot more because Ali Brown's there doing the thing. But I don't even know how they let him go on stage with this.
So this is which will be that'll be the first time we'll go beyond Stanton to other star systems. I'm not going to say how many star systems.
Was server meshing even a twinkle in their eyes at this point? Server meshing was definitely an idea and an expectation.
Up and coming here, which but we're very.
But it wasn't working in any way. In fact, one of the key people to getting server meshing working for them was working on his own patent for the technology in, I believe, Unreal Engine. Either Unity or Unreal Engine. Around 2018. And they hired him on to join. He was in one of the more recent server meshing videos that they did last year. So he's still working at it. But his technology was really important for them getting the right things working for server meshing. And he wasn't even hired, I think, until a year or two after this. So server meshing was definitely a goal, but not something they were seriously working towards at this point, I think. That's my opinion from what I've heard. I don't know if that's fact.
At the quality level that we like, with a sense of lore and art and character and history, but be able to do planets, because I mean, sometimes in FPS games people spend forever years just making a small 2x2 kilometer level, and obviously for us to build the system, the universe that we need, we need to be a bit faster than that.
Yeah, they thought they were kind of building a freelancer sort of game at this point. This was like right when things changed. Yeah, this was the first showing of procedural planets they had ever given us. So I'll cut them a little bit of slack for obviously not understanding how this tech was going to impact the whole creation of the game. But then that's also on you to kind of realize that, take that into account when you're giving expectations for something you're working on that you don't have solid facts about where it's going to go. You kind of got to be careful about telling people specific numbers and stuff when things will be happening. I know that from running an org that depends on tech and things to happen that I'm not in control with, and putting out dates sometimes because you're hyped is not always the best idea. So this was their first Planet Tech demo, and in classic CIG fashion, instead of just showing off the Planet Tech, they made it seem like a gameplay demo, which was then shown to millions of people, and we were all expecting this to kind of turn into what the game would be eventually, when in reality this was all meant to just kind of show off their biomes and stuff. Either way, this was a really big one. This was a really big part of getting people into this game.
See something up there a bit. Looks like someone didn't heed the atmospheric unsafe flight warning.
Yeah, Planet Tech did change the direction of this game for sure. That was a huge one. This was around, I think it was 1 year after this demo was when I really started paying a lot more attention.
If we take a look back here, you can sort of see where we came from.
I remember watching this and being like, oh, this is the game that I wanted from...
So we're heading past this rock
out this sort of canyon walls to
be honest, this is what I imagined Mass Effect Andromeda was going to be like. You rock. You know that? Said cool, thanks for the super chat. Said in IT you almost never give an absolute. Coding's hard.
check out something else we had here. A little bit of breadcrumbs. Orpheus Horizon, Javelin Pass. Wonder where that came from.
Huh.
All right, let's carry on.
That's interesting. Where could a javelin class plaque come from? I'm still waiting for NPC encounters like this, you know? Yeah, get him. We can only dream. And pout. I'll pout about it. I want my attacks. Ooh, the tea is still warm. Perfect.
I know the music changing here is all part of the dynamic music logic system. So it'll start to calm down now that the combat's over. Right, so that's, well, we lost our rover, that's not so good. That's where the distress beacon's coming from.
Dude, little objectives like this just scattered throughout a planet would be great. Do you really, if you got some kind of objective to go get some data like this from a crash pod, from some ship somewhere crashed on a planet in Pyro, would you even care if this data mattered? I wouldn't. I mean, I eventually would. But for like a really basic mission that just gets us into the game exploring and stuff, I'd love to just have little things to go and press a button on and be like, I did it! Yay! I'm so good at my job.
Alright, let's see what we got around here. Very conveniently, some sand nomad dragonflies.
Look at that early cloth tech up there. It's really clothing. Yeah, ground traversal is a good thing to include.
Right, we got one. We got another distress beacon we blinked to, so let's go look for that. Remember, we came all the way down from planet all the way down here, and we're down driving around in this level of detail. So that's kind of a big testimony to what the Planet V2 stuff does, and the tools it's given the artists to.
The whole point of this was actually from earlier on in the demo. They kind of pretended that like they ran into some kind of weather anomaly or atmospheric anomaly, so you can't fly in the area.
So it's telling us the atmospheric conditions are unsafe. And one of the key gameplay things you want to do on, because obviously the planetary tech is going to allow us to have a whole bunch of play areas we don't normally have, is to encourage players not to always, maybe you can't always fly there. Maybe you have to get out and use your rover, for instance.
It's very possible that this specific feature he's talking about here is going to take 10 years from introduction to implementation if it comes next year.
We're having a color. So it's fine. Let's go find a landing zone that's on the edge of the desert plain.
Yeah, I guess technically they've done that with the Lazarus complex, so 9 years.
I'll look around.
You couldn't fly into the area and you had to take in the ground vehicle. Hopefully we see the dynamic weather start to cause that to happen too next year, and not just it be some canned locations that they set in the game.
Right.
Is there anywhere in SC planet surface we can't fly today? Yeah, like you said, the Lazarus facilities in Pyro. What, dynamic storms you mean? We don't have dynamic storms yet.
Looking to have sort of a dynamic procedural weather system and things like sandstorms, hurricanes, various weather systems are all things that will model onto the planets that will add additional sort of drama and challenges for when you're adventuring and playing around. Let's go check out these wreckages.
You can tell they don't play the game because they land so slow. Yeah, you're supposed to land at 200 meters per second. Hope your body survives. Leave it to Chris to put that
Who knows?
in a Planet Tech demo. In a Planet Tech demo, it's easy to forget this is supposed to just be showing off the new Planet Tech.
But we're just gonna do it!
Oh.
And go out there. Yeah, I know. I gotta memorize that whole speech.
With how long they've been talking about dynamic weather since this very video. Yeah, it's been a cool minute. Try only shouting.
There.
You just hit the hill and explode in the current game. You just tap the sand as you drive by and blow up and respawn off planet and just shut the game down.
We'll just pop off here.
What's up, Nurudu? How you doing?
Still about 200 meters away. going. Hang on a second. Looks like there's a sad nomad. So should we shoot him? Alright.
That's pretty cool. Look, a sad person. Should we shoot them?
Oh,
Okay.
nice
I guess
shot,
so.
man. Vince got cocky. He's like on the move too.
Convince you the new SC is trash? Powerful ways. The Dragonfly probably changed a little bit since this. It's a pretty old model.
Sneak up behind him. Watching incoming sandstorm.
Dude!
Watching incoming sandstorm.
You can see our shadow right here, man. Come on. Come on, buddy. You gotta be doing better than that. Although, like, in reality, you're playing, you're doing some ground security in a situation like this. What are the chances somebody is actually gonna be there? You would think they would have gotten
like
caught before they got here.
Okay, let's get out of here. Shit.
And then the canned storm. Which this, oh god, this is such a good piece of marketing, man. This really just gets you. It gets you. These are the carrots. These are the carrots they dangle around, and they're like, this is what this game is going to be like, and it's going to be incredible. And then you get into the game, and it's like, well, you know, we're gonna get there. Like, yeah, that's how the process works. Is there any game where the AI NPC detects shadows? Probably not. That'd be kind of crazy. Yeah, the panels being torn off was always a great touch.
Let's see here. That's where the black box is. Black box would be. So let's see if let's find a way out.
Be honest, Squadron 42, even if it's not an amazing story or something, it just looks like in general it's going to be a really cool game to play through because of set pieces, because of the graphics, because of the lore and the situation, and the fact that it's like a sci-fi space flight FPS game. I think all of that's going to get me excited. And then yeah, seeing stuff like this, seeing things like how the ASD facilities turned out, all that kind of stuff gets me more and more excited for Squadron 42. Can't wait for that to translate into Star Citizen. But the CIG paced, situation specifically made levels and mission design just looks more and more exciting throughout the years. Your name is Dizal? You're 50 years old and you like video games. Cool, dude. Video games like you. And the moment Star Citizen might be most known for. At least back then.
Maybe that's not such a good idea.
And then the embarrassing part of it all. Oh no.
How did it? Okay, that's the first time it's ever done that.
It glitches.
You get to see the pull-out twice now. How did it go to the console? Did you get a key or
You know what would have been great is that it glitched and shows the markers for these vehicles. Would have been fantastic if this was like the game that we have currently right now and it actually showed the distance they were moving. Yeah, that was a crash javelin. Shogi, thank you for the bits, dude. A whole bunch of words I don't understand, and then you said, and I'm really excited for Squadron 42. I agree with you there. Thank you for the 100 bits, man. All right, next CitizenCon we are going to take a little stop by is a newer one. 2953. There are a lot of things in that CitizenCon that I think we should be seeing an update on during this one this year. So I want to drop back over to that and take a look at life in the first person.
It's really important to us because it allows us to get close to surfaces and it allows us to walk across them. So we can see that in this video here. Okay, and as it gets to the end, we're going to jump off. Okay, here we go. Into that.
So yeah, we don't even have like push and pull.
This
I
video
wonder
here?
why. We know this works in Squadron. I'm getting really tired of saying that, by the way. This works in Squadron 42. We've seen this working in their Squadron builds, in their internal builds. Give it to us. let me play with it. So if you go to the campaign, mission, this is all the push and pull stuff. We've been waiting quite some time for this to work in Star Citizen. This gameplay demo was the first time we saw the system actually built out with like a trajectory marker and all that kind of stuff. And this is important because not every suit that we wear in the game is actually going to have EVA. You will also have limited EVA fuel, so you're not going to be able to constantly just fly around if you don't have the materials for it in your resource supply. And I know it seems like this is just for this cinematic demo in Squadron 42, but you can actually go back to, I think it was CitizenCon 2022 once again, the one where it was all digital. And it was just the stuff that they were recording for us. I think, yeah, in this one. They do a little demo look at it themselves, so they give us a chance to see the work that they've been doing on it for Star Citizen. Well, for Squadron, honestly, at that time.
current PU suit versus what we'll have is a new one with the proper like pack that has the thrusters in the right position, and when you go forward, the thrusters going from the back.
So what you're actually seeing here is you've actually connected to this.
So I think this is all going to be at CitizenCon Direct.
It's almost
No,
like
not at all.
prone situation.
This stream is not about what I think is going to be at CitizenCon. This stream is purely about just looking at past CitizenCons. I do not think all this stuff is going to be.
This is going to be what more our new prone will be. Again, you've got full 360 degrees. You can just move your mouse and you look all the way behind you or all the way in front.
And right now we're moving along here not because we're thrusting, because we're using our hands to move ourselves around, and we're looking around as we're doing that. If we went out to the third person here, you would sort of see us moving our hands around. I think we'll see it a little later on. There we go, here we go. So we're just sort of pulling ourselves along. And if we wanted to at this point, we could stop and we could push off against it, and then we would just go floating out into space. So that's the sort of idea of what we call push-pull.
And so what you're seeing here,
he just pushed himself off.
So what you're seeing here, that's actually kind of, you're just floating alongside the actual, this fin of this Asiata station. And this is actually keeping you in this orbit. And then if you did, and that's just, you just push forward and go, where you can actually jump off into space. But then this becomes one of the, if you look at physical traversal, where you've got jumping and mantling
it's
and
like
vaulting,
crawl sprinting.
This is where we have zero-G push-pull, we have the tractor beam that kind of pulls you around in EVA, and then we have your EVA pack, which is limited by your resource of EVA fuel. So this allows you to kind of manipulate and go in EVA, and allows us as developers to build EVA traversal spaces, both wide-ranging and both small-scale.
So yeah, here's, I mean, we were before.
So this is just something that showed up at CitizenCon a lot, that we've been sort of privy to, and I'm not really sure what's going on with it.
Jump off. Okay, here we go. Into
We got this part of it.
Smaller profile. Let's get into spaces we couldn't get into before, or not easily with the old EVA. I'm going to traverse through here, thread the needle, and also the collision is much more forgiving. We're going to slide off at slower speeds, so we're not going to be spinning away. Okay, big reveal. Love this station. This is amazing. And we're also adding.
So a little EVA stuff. I think we got these prone animations, which is good. Ladder stuff we just got, which is nice, but it's not necessarily as fully featured as we wanted yet.
Right, so I
And then the
just
slide.
want to talk about improvements. I've hinted at swimming, but I'm going to show you a different feature, right? So sliding. So with the power slide, you inject a burst of speed. This doesn't just take you from A to B faster. You're going to have a reduced profile. You become a smaller target. It doesn't come for free. You know, you're sprinting. So that's going to cost you stamina. You're sliding. That's going to add some stamina cost. And when I do it back-to-back like this, my heart rate is just pumping, 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 right? So you got to be a bit careful. You can't just slide your whole way from the hubs to the spaceport.
That's going to be a problem for people like me jumping. We jump in. So there's that. Is this still sliding?
But while I'm sliding, I can hip fire. And as I come out in the exit, I can ADS, I can lean. I could go back to sprint right away. So I could do back-to-back slides, like we saw in the last video. OK, so moving beyond traversal, just to finish this section, I want to talk about new hazard. Now, you saw this yesterday in the...
Radiation got delivered, so we know about that. Interaction system
So what
is...
happens if an object...
This is, I think, a big one. That's just not... This doesn't perform well, man. I don't have a problem with this system, really, but it just does really bad in game at times. But there's this part, the player animations, that has shown up at a couple CitizenCons so far, but we haven't really heard too much about since.
Thank you. So I've shown you features that improve the readability and easiness of interacting with the objects in the world. But the other part of our focus was to bridge the disconnection between the player and the object you are interacting with. In the fully physicalized world that we want to provide you, a tactile experience is very important to sell the experience. So we've introduced a new system that allows us to play animations on the player of actually reaching out and physically touch the objects in the world. Yeah.
It sounds like the kind of thing you can use to annoy the hell out of your friends.
Was to give you a better immersion,
poking them.
But at the same time, minimizing the friction and the control we take away from you. So this really was an exercise between code, design, and animation to give you the best experience possible. Let's see some of this in action. And you know, pressing buttons has never been so satisfying and fun.
It's a small one.
I don't know, I just kind of like go.
But they talk a lot about it.
The next thing I want to talk to you about, very long and common layer, was that provided for design. And the advanced the AI will also be able to do.
Why is it not in?
So let's have a look.
Dude, I don't even know if
of a
the
simple
servers could
demo
handle
that one
this
of our designers
before
put
server
together
meshing.
to see what we can now achieve. So in this scenario, the player has to go forward but can't go forward because of the toxic water. So he has to go over to the valve to turn off the water. So before we could maybe play a simple animation when you interacted, but now designers can give full manual control to you. So you, by pressing the specific inputs, you will be driving the system. So, but this is not enough. We needed to be able to give designers a way to translate what the player is currently doing and affect other objects in the world in specific ways. So this is what is happening here. As the player is turning the valve, is controlling the flow of the water that's coming from the pipes. And what should happen when the player is no longer in control? Do we want to keep the state, revert back to the initial one, or maybe trigger something else altogether? Well, it's up to designers to define
You gotta run.
the type of experience they want to bring to you. So let's finally turn off that valve, rush over before that broken valve starts turning off, and then see another small example. Oh.
Made it.
Let's go. So yeah, we'll see another small example where you won't be able to open the door by a press of a button, but you have to manually interact with that pump and manually open it. So you'll have to time your inputs to slowly open the door. So this is just a small taste of the level of interactivity that we can now have with these objects. We had really nice results for Squadron, for the mess hall line, and I can't wait to see what the PU designers will create and bring up to your hands.
That'd be a nice one.
But it will be
Looting screen, we got that.
And contextual takedown. So this guy on the rail had some player skill progression. So kind of
Player
move you
skill
through
progression
different
is
action sets. You're gonna start off as
is a weird
struggling.
one.
You might fail.
A lot of these are things that they took from Squadron 42, like Rasak Blood said. It's a whole bunch of stuff that they got working in Squadron, and then they were like, well, we could show them this. This will eventually make it into Star Citizen. And then you bring out Chris, and he's like, well, by the end of next year, most of this will be in. When in reality, they didn't really seem to have a full idea of when this would make it into Squadron, but they definitely wanted to have stuff to show off they've been working on. Here's a really big one. This one goes towards Bounty Hunting V2. God only knows when we'll be seeing that. Mrs. Tomato's just hitting you up about the Jump Space giveaway in the chat. We are giving away a copy of Star Citizen right now with an Avenger Titan. But we are also giving away 2 copies of Jump Space, which is a new space-based 4-player co-op game that's been pretty fun in our community. And you can come and play it with us in Discord if you'd like. Both of those giveaways are currently running. Keep an eye out.
So with the restraints, okay, let's take him down first. One more. Oh. Okay, so with the restraints, we're gonna turn him over. We're gonna cuff his hands. We're gonna cuff his legs.
I wonder if this
Now,
will
if
be
he
something we
wakes
need to
up,
do in
He
Squadron.
can't chase us down, right? But he could call out for help. So what we're going to do as well is we're going to add places in the environment where you can stash a body. You can hide them, either unconscious or dead. And that way it should be easier to remain undetected and keep you in that stealth bubble.
Splinter Cell.
Now, this is another thing we talked about in the UI demo, which is the ping. And we saw it in Inesh's presentation, how she did a short ping to highlight a door pump. Now, of course, we allow you now to charge up that ping. And by doing so, we can see further, and we can see through obstacles, and we can populate more information into our data bank that then shows up in our box outs here. So you get the name, and you maybe get the race, and maybe the faction. And you can use this information to figure out where is the weak link, which enemies can I take down without being discovered. There's a risk here, okay? So
that Iku Stevens looks primed for a takedown.
It's going to recharge slowly. You see the bar at the top slowly going down. Until that goes all the way down, I can't ping. I can't even do a short ping. And it's going to spike my emissions. or my signature. So an enemy with the right equipment or tech level might discover me. Okay, so let's move on to some talk about
FPS radar and scanning is one of those things that was supposed to be in the EPTU this year. So yet another Squadron 42 edition that's supposed to be in Star Citizen that was shown at CitizenCon 2023. That I can't tell you whether or not they've done some work on it. We've seen it show up in the monthly reports this year, but I don't know how far that would be. Definitely the kind of thing I would hope they'd share at CitizenCon this year. And then wear and tear. This is like in game. I don't know where they are with this. If they just want to show like updates for it or what, but it's never felt like this has applied realistically in the game.
So the geometry is
the RSI Apollo gets dirty in like 2 missions. It's kind of funny.
I think they're going to change as your weapon wears. So here we're going to see a pristine Gemini pistol in the little window and a worn one in the big window. And you can see the visual effects. It's belching out smoke here because it's very worn, right? It's telling you, you know, it's time to get this one changed. And you should be able to hear the audio as well. It's get growlier. Okay, on to some consequences.
So this is between 12 and 22. We just went over physical interactions, ping, the screen interaction improvements.
Thank you very
looting
much.
screen, player skill-driven assassinations, handcuffs, and tying up an NPC. More FPS scanning and radar, wear and tear on weapons, and gun jams. All of that we went over in 10 minutes. So anybody who's trying to tell you that because CitizenCon Direct is 2 hours long, they're not going to cover anything, just show them these past videos. If they cut out a lot of the nonsense and talking and just like weird role-playing and stuff, they can cover a lot of different feature advancements. And they've got a lot of feature advancements that they do need to cover. Now, I'm not saying they will, because, like I said, we're a little bit unsure of what they've been doing over the past 9 months, other than what's in the monthly reports. But there's no reason they can't cover a lot of stuff in 2 hours.
So, it's not all visual. So we're going to start with misfire. So the first thing that's going to happen is you press the trigger, your gun doesn't fire. The second thing that happens in this video. You got. I hope you guys know what's happening. So he goes and then it goes click. That's the bullet getting lodged in the chamber, right? So we got to fix it. So it's telling us to fix it. We're hitting the button. Our enemy's firing on us. So you got some options. You don't have to fix it. You could holster your gun. You could pull out a new gun. You could use that new looting interface the ANS showed to grab a better gun. Okay. Okay, I'm going to finish this section with the features that's tangentially related to wear, and that's the dirt accumulation. So here again, we're going to see a simulation of dirt accumulating over time on the same rifles we saw before. But in the actual game, this would be based on your activities and the environment you're in. So if you're running around in a sandstorm, you're rolling in mud, you leave your gun outside proper storage, it's going to accumulate dirt. And that's going to increase the rate at which it wears. So the dirtier your gun is, the faster it will wear out. And this is true for other biome accumulations, like frost.
I don't think that crafting and base building are near being released. I do think that we might see something on one of them at this event, though. Keeping it short is actually good for overall exposure. People are more likely to watch a 2-hour show than the normal super long cons. That's the thing. People are missing a little bit of what CIG is going for right now. CIG is trying to market themselves to a much wider audience, and the focus has always been a very niche audience, an audience that cares about feature work, about things being worked on, about big tech advancements. They're not interested in catering to those people anymore, at least not first. Now they need to put out a good 20 to 30 minute video that can be reacted to, that can be shared around, that people will watch and get engaged with that can show what Star Citizen is supposed to be to somebody who actually cares to play a game. Even these demos that we're seeing here, these are all too long and drawn out. These are too segmented. They're too crunchy. They're nice for us. We love this, and I do think they'll have some of this. But the best thing that CIG can do right now for CitizenCon is to send out a lightning poll to the rest of the games industry that gives some or sets some level of expectation as to what they think Star Citizen will look like a year from now, and give people the chance to watch that and get hyped for that, not for some like concept demo or some look at a feature that might or may not show up in the next 4 years. I think CIG knows that, though. Everything that they've been doing lately has shown that they care a lot more about public perception than they used to, and I hope that they keep going in that direction because that helps them not do as much silly stuff. Do they? Do they what? Do they something? Oh, do people pay more attention to 2 hours? You don't see that? Where do they market themselves to a crowd that is not the community? Oh, I see what I was saying. Last year, well, the first thing was the Star Engine demo. That was a very straightforward, very impressive to like nobody who doesn't follow Star Citizen watched the Star Engine demo and was like, holy shit, what are they doing? We all knew that stuff. That wasn't for us. That was for other people who aren't paying attention. The Squadron 42 demo, I also think, was a very clear sign to people that are a little bit more outside of the Star Citizen bubble, and you can tell that by the people who actually watched it. I think that the things that they are doing in terms of, like, for instance, shutting down a free fly for the sake of making sure the game is still running, that's the kind of stuff that they wouldn't really care to do a couple years ago when it was just the core crowd of people who know that this game is broken. But it's the kind of thing I think they're doing to try and send a better message to the people who are just starting to jump in. I think the same thing is true with the fact that they're canceling concept ship sales. That seems like something that they're trying to do in order to send a better message to other people outside of the community. Hey, we are not the company that just sells JPEGs. I think there are a lot of different signs left and right of those kinds of things throughout this year, last year, other years that show that they want to have a better appeal and a better message to people who are casually looking at the game. Fixing the website's another part of that. And yeah, advertising, let's remove advertising from the argument. I didn't mean it's just their ads that they're putting out. I mean, it's the way that they're presenting themselves. So whether that is in how they're running their CitizenCons, how they're making sure that nobody is giving the messaging on tech except for the CTO, how Chris Roberts is not getting on camera as much, concept images are not being used to sell game packages, the website is getting better. All these things I think are meant to make things feel more comfortable for the not obsessed. Do I think the game will become more stable? Yeah, absolutely. How much fluff do I think we'll have this year in CitizenCon? Not a lot, dude. I think they're here for business. You also don't see anyone getting interested. You don't see content creators that aren't in the community already looking into Star Citizen. What? Hold on a second. Let's see. Star Citizen React. These people are not Star Citizen content creators. And all of this stuff happened I guess this was a little more than a year ago. This was the 2023 part. Dude, these are not Star Citizen content creators. This guy isn't. Auralia is. But like, they're definitely doing more things. That was a moment in time. Amazingly, trends are multiple moments in time. And I do think that we're seeing trends across the way that Star Citizen presents itself. I don't know, man. Either we can agree to disagree, but I think that they're presenting themselves way differently than they used to. You've seen a lot of new names in your feed lately? Yeah, they also, like, their new numbers are doing fairly good, like BK said. They're doing better than last year for sure. They're almost on par with 2023. I'll be interested in seeing if they can catch up to that. Let's see how their October does. November will be the big one, the big tell. But they're doing better than 2020. They're doing better than 2021. They're doing better than 2024. The only years that they're doing better in terms of bringing new people into the game are 22 and 23. I think that they are definitely... Hell, even in the trailers they're putting out, they're a lot less about advertising to us and more towards other people. These are ads. This is marketing.
Hey, it's me.
Pose. Like, don't forget that. And look at the way that they end.
This can't be.
It's all intrigue, it's all story, it's all what's going on, it's all, ooh, I wanna take part in this kind of stuff. They're trying to build up anticipation in a lot more game-focused way. But then if you go back to some of their older trailers, let's go back to like their 318 trailer. And look at how they were doing it. It was a list of features. It was, ooh, we got the cargo system refactor into the game. Oh, we got persistent entity streaming into the game. Hey, look at all these things that we're adding in that you guys have been waiting for. We'll throw them on the screen and remind you that there's an update coming out with new features. Or we could go back to the one before that. Let's do 317. Pretty sure they did the same thing here. No, they didn't. Not on this one. This one, they were doing the same thing. They were listing them out throughout the trailer. Look. River Tech. Hospital. Refueling. Like, these are cool. Don't get me wrong. But this is how they were focused on trying to sell this game before. It was so much about just like, these are the things we're putting in the updates. And they've kind of moved past that now to be a lot more like just general exciting game trailer kind of stuff. Not playing the mission because of that trailer. It's kind of crazy that they put that in the trailer. That they put the Van tool in there. That's a weird one. All the things nobody outside the community knows or cares about. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The trailers used to be about advertising to us with the list of features that nobody else really cares about. But ever since 4.1, they've taken a very different shift towards being about the world that's being built and the stories that are playing out and things that I think are just a lot more interesting to somebody who's looking for a game to play, not a development to follow. But that's what CitizenCon's always been. Just like their ISCs. CitizenCon itself has been their ability to come out and tell us about huge planet tech advancements or new features that they're working on. And I don't think they're going to necessarily not do that this year, but I do think that if they are smart, or maybe if they are like me, let's say, I won't even say smart, I think the best thing that they could do is to put out something that goes beyond the immediate community. We'll see if they do. It wasn't about features anymore because they didn't develop features. I'll give you it. I think one thing, you think another. That's okay. You think they've changed the marketing to be less feature-oriented and more cool because there's now enough of a game to make that stuff? Yeah, that's part of it, for sure. Like they actually can make a story and put that out. You hope we get push and pull next year? Yeah, push and pull and Starware and the resource system for EVA fuel, all that stuff coming together would be nice. I'm actually making you realize maybe you need to stop following SC Dev at all. For real, just play it or don't. Dude, that's what I in a lot of my videos, I'm like, people probably shouldn't be following this in a lot of situations. I think there's a lot of reasons to not follow the dev as closely as we have been, because the stuff that they're working on now is literally release level stuff. These trailers that they're doing, these quests that we're running, the Stormbreaker stuff, the ASD facilities, all that's Star Citizen 1.0 stuff. So some people don't want to have that part of the game ruined for them. And for that reason, I'd say, yeah, like, don't really explore or look into the story-focused things that they're putting out. You don't know how many big YouTubers are following the dev. You mean Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, Markiplier. We don't know who is following the dev of Star Citizen. Yeah, that's true. Anyone do the asteroid-based missions? I would really like to see more space-based stuff. Fill all the space. I feel you there. It'd be nice to get some more space-based stuff, like derelict ships popping up, abandoned space stations to explore. Things like that. Problem is, the way they make the game, you have to follow to know what's new or available in the game, so you're kind of stuck. You could, like, hover. Keep a distant view of it, maybe. Just look at... Don't watch the trailers. And yeah, don't watch like the big videos that they put out, but kind of just look at the dev tracker. Monthly reports, honestly. That might be it. Just tuning into monthly reports might be the best way to follow this game. They don't really put too many spoilers there. Is PewDiePie still around? PewDiePie? I think so. Krassix, thanks for the sub on Twitch, man. And Anonymous for gifting out a sub to Kanye Oost France. Oost France. Didn't they say the storyline was for us pre 1.0? I think the storyline is, but I think the locations are going to stay in with their particular stories post 1.0 as well. Like, I think the fact that, for instance, Race for Stanton, or the complication that ties Stormbreaker into the current part of the game, I think those might be gone, but I think the missions and locations themselves will remain. You think mission pickup on location is going to be much bigger for immersion than people expect? That's not one that I'm all that sure about my opinion on. I don't know what that will include. I'm sure it will help for sure with picking up missions, though. Makes sense. Who remembers Rexzilla? He went to Facebook Gaming, but I don't know what he ended up doing long term. Didn't they at once talk about some grand gates at some asteroid belt in Stanton? Yeah, the Air and Halo belt gates. Last time those were worked on or even talked about, I think, was 2021. No, this is 2020. And these are some asteroid belts that sit outside the Air and Halo belt, or some gates that sit outside the Air and Halo belt, controlled by ArcCorp, that should clear a path through the rocks to quantum travel. Because they do talk about the idea that quantum travel won't work through dense asteroid fields in the future, possibly. Something like that. There will be things that you have to... There will be obstacles in quantum travel. One of those weird people that can't get enough of the hopium CIG puts out. I enjoy playing and backing this project. I create too much of my own hopium. Looking forward to Friday Stormbreaker run through. Yeah, I saw you had mentioned that you're doing a full run through. Who's hosting that one? Ah, Gimbal. Nice. Friday at 10. What am I doing Friday at 10? Maybe I can jump in late on that one. Possibly. Possibly. If y'all are in GII, if you want to play, I will be probably playing a couple times this weekend. So keep an eye out for the events running. I know I'll be in the game with GII Friday night. Might be there probably Saturday morning as well. And we'll see if there's anything else we could do, maybe Saturday evening. Thanks for the stream. It convinced me not to pledge another dime. My man, I'm here to help one way or another. I'm just here to get you off the fence, all right? If you got to learn something, if you got to see something, I am glad to help you out on that path. You barely follow the game month to month. You still look forward to CitizenCon annually. It is a good opportunity for them to do the general stuff all in one go. All right, y'all. This has been enough looking at CitizenCon for me. There's plenty more we could look at, but I just kind of wanted to take a chance to take a few hours to look at what's been going on in this event over the years. And maybe that can set a little bit of your expectations for CitizenCon Direct this year. Maybe it can help you figure out if you want to spend more money on the game or not. As always, my goal is to help you folks understand Star Citizen a little bit better, at least through my lens. Obviously, there's some bias there, and I'm not always correct. In fact, I'm probably wrong more often than I'm not. But my goal is at least to make sure that the data and the information and the content that I'm basing my opinions on are made clear to you guys, and you're able to make some decisions based off of that. It's what the YouTube channel is here for. It's what the community's here for. It's what the stream is here for. Obviously, with like all the other stuff we do. Talk about pets and things. Like I said, no cooking stream today. We are still getting set up in terms of equipment to make sure that experience is a little bit better for you guys. Thank you for your patience there. Oh, and thank you for the gifted subs, Anon. Dude, I'm pretty sure that's like 18? What lovely support and a toast getting from Anon today. Anon's a homie. Honestly, that is you truly a real one. Not even putting your name out there. What do you think the new armors and FPS weapons are that are hinted at in the CitizenCon gear package on the store? Oh god, I have no idea. Look at the Starware demo from last year. It might be in that video. Thank you all for being here. You're wonderful people. You deserve some good things. Do something fun today. Go eat something you love. Give somebody a hug of love. Do something you love. Go, get along, little doggy. Nah, have yourselves a good day. I'm going to send you over to Citizen Spooner. Pretty sure he just reached his, 100, or his year streaming, something like that. Y'all go have some fun over there. Show him some love. Drop the toes in the chat. And have a great day. Treat yourselves well. Like I said, do something you love. Treat yourselves like you love yourself or something like that. I don't know. I'll see you on Friday. Bye, everybody. Happy hump day.